This might be it. I might be actually filming this stupid video. Hello, everyone. I'm just gonna start this off with the fact that everybody, my friends, my family, random strangers at the pub, my employers, everybody knows that I'm making this video. I have told everyone on this earth that I'm making it, and I have just had like multiple things happen in my life at the same time, and I haven't been able to make it. Also, making this diagram alone took me about 3 months. I started like conceptualizing this in March, and it's July, and it is the hottest in London it has ever been, and I'm sweating my ass off inside of a flat on a Sunday evening filming this right now because I was just going insane because I was like, I've told everyone I'm gonna film this. If I don't do it now, am I ever gonna do it? Full context, if you've never seen me before, which you probably haven't. The reason I'm doing this is because I used to work at a company where I would run their TikTok, and they hired me because I was just like brain rotted out of university, and I don't know, just kept up with trends, I guess, but I would say it's more than that. You can see it's more than that. I just know things. There are just things around in my head, completely useless information that I have now put into one diagram. But yeah, I was working at that company and I realized that my digital footprint is completely tarnished forever. So I might as well try to save face and put something on the internet that represents me more, that I enjoy more. And so here we are. The original idea for this was that I did graphic design at university, and I was really interested in talking about, or at least mapping out, how memes have changed in the terms of graphic design, how it evolved. It all started out with that, just mapping graphic design. But then when I started building this diagram, I drew it out by hand. Looking back now, it all began with like, oh, the graphic design of memes. But this diagram maps a lot more. It goes into sort of politics. It goes into all these different sectors, and so this video is probably going to be like 3 hours long, and so I created this meme mind palace inspired by none other than BBC Sherlock, my meme mind palace. So as a disclaimer for this entire video, I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm not a scientist. As I said, I did graphic design at university. I am not accredited in anything to talk about this. Also, I haven't done my extensive research on every single thing that I might mention in this video. Also, this diagram in itself, which I might make purchasable when I post this video. So if you want this, I don't know, slapped onto some paper bikini phone case, maybe I'll make a Redbubble. Who knows? Unless there's Redbubble is such like a, I don't know, you're drawing like characters on DeviantArt and you want to sell your art through Redbubble kind of thing, but maybe there's like better things than Redbubble now. I don't know. Not me showing my age. Anyway, yeah, I'm not a scientist. I'm not a researcher. I'm no one. And I made this diagram, even if it's inaccurate time-wise. I have looked up timings for most of, only actually, no. I've looked up timings for some of these things because I genuinely don't remember things year by year post 2020. But most of it is just out of my own head. Like this information has just been lying around for the longest time, and I just needed to get it out onto paper. So here it is on paper, all connected. So yeah, the disclaimer one, I don't know what I'm talking about, so please don't be like, actually, I don't know. Yeah, sure, you're probably right. I don't know. I'm not a historian, okay? I'm not qualified for any of this. I'm just doing it because it's fun and I want to do it. Sue me. Don't do that. And two, this is very personal. This is how I have seen all of this unravel and the connections that I've made personally in my own head in regards to all these topics. So if you don't agree with something, fair enough, fair dues. This is not scientific evidence, okay? Or you might remember things that should definitely be on this diagram that I don't remember. This diagram spans from 2011 till 2025 because this is just when I remember being on the internet and seeing news. As a precursor, before we begin, there are some categories on this diagram to differentiate different things. So, as I said initially, it's kind of like the meme mind palace. It's about memes. But I also started including sort of political events, just general culture, social events, things that happened that kind of memes came out of, or people made memes about it. So, for example, like I put Sydney Sweeney on this diagram. There's lots of different memes about Sydney Sweeney, but it's just kind of like one of those people that is linked to a lot of other things, that is linked to the memes that were made around, not even her, but around other things. So the key feels these turquoise bubbles. Nerdy liberal, the times when the internet was fun, unserious, Tumblr, just a simpler time. Then everything in yellow is meme. So relevant memes, meme formats, images, styles, compositions, etc. For example, gold and white or blue and gray dress. That's like a very specific meme that people remember. The red boxes are red pill. So anything that's kind of like right, I would classify sort of as a precursor to right-wing media pipelines, or in itself, right-wing media pipelines. So red pill content influencers. Then this blue cloud is called Mirror, and it's basically about beauty standards, physical appearance changes, consumerism, and then makeup to politics parallels. There will be a lot of makeups to politics parallels because it is something that I feel like is so interlinked throughout this diagram that I could make a whole different video about it. But I have mentioned it on here. And during the duration of this video, I will try to do my makeup and dress up as each of these periods that I will be talking about. Scroll, this pink star, is media consumption, content changes, monetization, how we consume content. So mostly they are used for Instagram, BuzzFeed, Twitter, YouTube, 4chan, Tumblr, Vine, Musical.ly, any sort of platform. I've put in one of those stars. And then the last one that I added actually close to the end of making this diagrams was this orange circle called farm. And this is intentional content farming. So it's moments where maybe even before we kind of knew about content farming or like necessarily kind of like could point content out, which is obviously just for the sake of content farming and gaining views, engagement, and monetizing it. Moments or things associated with content farming, so intentional monetization of content and memes. So yeah, those are the general themes, and it's been quite a ride, and there's a lot of subsections, and it's really annoying because it's taken me so long to make this video that there have been new things that I can't even add to this diagram anymore because I've printed out now. Enjoy the ride, my life's work, or at least my young 22-year-old life's work. Also, throughout this period of me making this diagram, I have gotten a new job. I have moved house, broken up and gotten back together with somebody. So many things have happened since this began. My life has completely changed. I have grown with this thing. That's why I need to put it to rest and I need to make this right now before anything else changes in my life. It's like I'm like in a relationship with this diagram. I need to move on. Please enjoy the video. Also, if anybody wants to hire me as a strategist, and get me into the right rooms, this is my audition for that, because unfortunately I know way too much because of all the stupid information I have in my head when it comes to social media marketing. Enjoy.
7 a.m. waking up in the morning, gotta be fresh.
Correct.
Here I am. I've dressed up this way. So this is the closest I could find to like the early days. By the closest, I mean like what I would have worn back then, like what I would have wished to worn back then. Because I was like hard on watching American Horror Story. So the choker, the cross, the All Saints dress. Yeah, I would have thought that was super baller. I used to have an American Apparel tennis skirt, and it's somewhere in my parents' house, and I'm like myself because I want it so bad. It's such a staple. But I don't have it right now to film this video, which is really annoying. Also, now I have this. Yeah. So this is chapter 1. This is going to be the early days. So the early days, I started this diagram in 2011, but the early days for me is kind of everything pre-2013. My brief bullet point summary was, we're in around the 4chan Reddit community of people, and stuff that's coming out of it is like creepypasta, the impact font memes are coming out of it. And by that, I mean memes such as Stalker Girlfriend, Bad Luck Brian, the Penguin one. There was a bunch of them. Also coming out of that sort of sphere, manosphere, no, JK, we're gonna get onto that later, was 9cat, Doge, the Wojak troll face. Right, so when I was like researching and Googling all this stuff, I was like, I don't even know what this is called to Google it. Wojak troll face, all of you know what it is. You've definitely seen it. It's the troll face. There's a variety of memes, and it's basically made like a resurfacing in recent times. And on the diagram, I categorize it as red pilled because basically it was probably somehow in some of these 4chan Reddit like sub communities of people that originated the meme, and apparently it did have red pill connotations. They had connotations with sort of more like edgy right-wing humor even back in 2011, 2012. Happy Tree Friends was rogue. Like, I would watch that when I was like 9 years old. Why? Who? Also, what does the fox say? That made waves. there was just a lot of parody videos. Bart Baker, Shane Dawson, early racist Shane Dawson, Onision, music, specifically music stars, which I believe is going to have a resurgence soon, or if not already has, with Sigma Boy. Even like, I know Jojo Siwa is like a full grown adult now, but even kind of with Jojo Siwa, like with her music, it's most of it's like parody. It's not real music, you know? So I think Maddie B Raps and Rebecca Black, these sorts of like YouTube videos from back in the day, they're having a resurgence on on online culture now, music wise. Like every TikToker has like a music career. Like everybody, they all come out with a music career, which I think is like, know your roots, and your roots are Maddie B Raps and Rebecca Black. They walked so you can run. Obviously, Bart Baker skit videos, no words, no words. The way he dismantled every single pop musician and ripped them to in the space of 3 minutes. An artistry, really. I heard he's a big star in Asia now. Really, really random. All of these like early day YouTubers, they have had like weird, some of them have had really weird pipelines into other things. Fred, oh my god, Fred had like 2 like full-blown films made about him as Fred. That's insane. This is the difference with what we're facing now at the end of this diagram compared to over here. Because over here, you could make something viral multiple times and you will get 2 full feature films out of it. Here, a company is going to steal your idea and you'll be dead in a week. Crazy. Like, the speed of culture has changed, I'll say that. The category themes, so every chapter has like category themes, and the category themes I've written down has been memes being underground. From my very brief research, because I really try to not research this, which I'm sorry. Maybe, you know what, maybe Netflix will pay me and I will actually research this and I will have a team behind me. But I'm nearly a year out of graduating university, almost fumbling part-time jobs and freelance. Now I have a full-time 9 to 5, and like, I'm sorry I didn't research it. I'm sorry. I'm just a girl. I can only do so much. Yeah, memes being underground. Generally, memes were coming out of 4chan, Reddit, and YouTube. And, you know, if you compare the landscape now, every company has TikTok. Not even YouTube, TikTok. A lot of companies base their marketing on entertainment. Back then, entertainment was what was on TV. It wasn't what was online. Online was just developing. Online was just evolving into entertainment. And so 4chan, Reddit, YouTube, I would say, with like Charlie Bit My Finger, that kind of stuff, the originators, this is where it all began. The foundations, below the soil, the minerals of where memes have gone from there. And back then, it wasn't common to watch stuff on YouTube. It was the way older generations, pre-millennials now, it's the way boomers now discuss Facebook Reels or like Instagram Reels. They'll be like, oh my god, I saw this video. And so way back when, it was also the same thing. It was like, oh my god, I saw this funny video on YouTube. So it wasn't widespread. There wasn't business to it, that's for sure. And the first people that did catch on to business were BuzzFeed. That's a whole different thing. Chapter 2 is I Learn About Tumblr. And the brief bullet points of that is popularization of indie tweet by Zoe Deschanel, nerd culture on the rise, millennial golden era, YouTuber galore, boy band epidemic via Tumblr Wattpad hotspot, beginning of Instagram, and group challenge popularity. So I'm really sorry, like if somebody is like much more educated on Twitter, then there will definitely be somebody much more educated on like the history of Twitter, now X, than me, but I just never really used Twitter to such a grand scale. And you know what? For the best, there's going to be much worse things people are going to find on the internet about me that are going to get me cancelled at some point. Maybe. I don't know. But it's really funny because Twitter, everybody gets cancelled off Twitter. Or when cancellations really began, it was always off Twitter. Something dodgy, something racist, something bad, something you posted on Twitter as a joke. Really the Wild West. Pre-2013, the Wild West. Okay, let's begin. I called this chapter I Learn About Tumblr because I was 12. I actually got suspended from school for making a YouTube video because I had big dreams of being a YouTuber, and they basically told me that you can, like, you know, we have like a range of talks after it, like, if you put yourself online, you're not going to get a job, you're not going to go to university, da, 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 da. And here I am, done both, and I could have been a millionaire by now if I started at YouTube 10 years ago. In this era, personally, my top 3 was Zoe Deschanel, Alexa Chung, that one photo of Sky Ferreira, or like 2 photos of Sky Ferreira everywhere. Jonah Kutcher. Not enough people talk about Jonah Kutcher nowadays, and she made a major standing in the American apparel business. Like I don't think I would have known about tennis skirts if not for her. She, I think around that time also came to London, and I thought it was the coolest thing ever. I was like, I need to be her. Like, I'm going to be her. But I was not even close when I was 12. I was so, yeah, no, I was really lame. But it's good. It's character building. I wouldn't have known all this if I was cool. Yeah. Owl City, golden millennial era. It really was golden. Think of it, just every time I think of that time, I just think of boom, 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 boom.
Give me a second,
Rolling in my stories like that, just that in itself. It's really funny because years later, I watched HBO Girls by Lena Dunham, and even though I wasn't a millennial, I was barely conscious. It brought me back. It really did. It brought me back because even to this day, I feel like deep in my soul, I am still trying to be what these girls were then, and these were the coolest people in my eyes. What I did have a standing in was fandoms. Fandom culture was huge. I think it was a great time. It was a great time for nerds to geek out. I was part of multiple fandoms, and Kick, obviously. The ones who know Kick. Definitely got groomed on Kick once or twice. Music-wise, obviously that is where my roots were planted in Lana Del Rey, Marina the Diamonds, and Lorde. Also up here, this cute little triangle is the triangle of dystopian novels, which was Divergent, Hunger Games, and Maze Runner, the top 3. I personally am not talking about Harry Potter just because I wasn't there. I'm really sorry. I just wasn't there. I did not care. Or Lord of the Rings or like Star Wars or anything. I just didn't care. I was in this triangle, like isn't anywhere else. John Green books. The chokehold they had on me. I thought I was the coolest girl in Starbucks when I was reading those. And there weren't a lot of Starbucks. There was one Starbucks in my town where I was when I was 12. And when I had that caramel frat that I ordered and said like, what's your name? And I was like, I'm Rose. And I sat down with my John Green book. Yeah. Also, The Neighborhood, Daddy Issues, Chokehold. Listening to Sweater Weather changed my life irreversibly. I wouldn't have become the person I am today if I did not listen to that song when I was 12. The Brick Crew, Zoella, Alfie Days, Joey Sugg, Casper Lee. It was the Beatles reincarnated. It was the British invasion alongside the boy group Epidemic. One Direction, 5 Seconds of Summer, Larry. That was a whole thing. At the same time, because of fandoms, there was stuff like, Wattpad, DeviantArt. So people like fairies, people that were really gay, liked writing like super Hulock fan fiction. They had a place. They really did. And they all did kind of tie into the boy group Epidemic. Because there was One Direction and then there was 5 Seconds of Summer, there was something for everyone at the time, I would say. Smosh PewDiePie Minecraft, Slenderman, real ones who watched PewDiePie back in the day would remember Amnesia, that game playthrough. That was big for me. Also, it was the beginning of Instagram. People were just getting onto Instagram. And I think Instagram was the first social media I had when I was 11. It was a time. Like, nothing was really there yet. Some more things to mention. Dan and Phil, My Chemical Romance, being like emo, punky. Subcultures sold to Tumblr preteens, which was like Lana Del Rey, Marina the Diamonds, Lorde. I can imagine how many girls have issues to this day because of those songs. But also, it's really interesting because there'll be musicians now releasing the same stuff that is sold to like younger generations. I'm gonna say it's just an example. Sabrina Carpenter, her music is very sexual, and it's sold to like tween girls, not intentionally, unintentionally, but it's sold to tween girls, and it's hilarious because I think I saw something on TikTok where it was like somebody saw a girl arguing with her dad at a Sabrina Carpenter concert because he wouldn't let her buy a shirt that said camaraderie. I mean, the ones who know what that camaraderie, right? Yeah. So it's kind of like in a way, it's like a same thing, different vibe where it's something like really adult themes that are kind of in preteen music. But yeah, the challenges, Gangnam Style, Planking, Harlem Shake, Cinnamon Challenge, ALS Ice Bucket Challenge, Mannequin Challenge, Whip and Nene. May I just say, on this diagram, I was like, is this when I was initially building, I was like, is this the beginning of challenges, like TikTok dances, if anything? Like, could we relate that to what we're doing now in a way? Shrek is Love, Shrek is Life. Actually, Shrek is Love, Shrek is Life is on this diagram up here. And it is also apparently red-pilled. Like, I didn't know this until I obviously consulted some other people about this diagram. And they were like, yeah, Strikers Love, Strikers Life is actually, it has origins in red pilled content. It came from sort of 4chan, Reddit, etc., and just made its way into like some sort of public platform. I guess the overall themes for this would be fans, stans, and nerd popularity. Being a nerd, or like all these nerdy things that were happening in culture, they became semi-mainstream because everybody was watching the Hunger Games films. Everybody was into 5 Seconds of Summer. Like, not everybody, obviously, but that it stopped becoming something that only like Reddit and 4chan users and people that were really into YouTube at the time were viewing. It became generalized. Suddenly we had access to a lot more stuff. Also, in this chapter, BuzzFeed, big news. BuzzFeed, my God, that BuzzFeed was probably an in for most sort of young people to internet trends and things, if not making its own internet trends at the time. Time and place. BuzzFeed will be remembered forever. Like it's in one of the major bubbles. Like it will be remembered. It did a lot for culture. Well, also, honorable mention, of course, My Life as Ava, Bethany Moda, Tila Dan, that group of YouTubers that were making content between girls about like, day in my life, da 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 da, and it'll be like full on sets. The effort that these YouTubers used to go to make videos, I respect it. I really, really do. EOS lip balms had its moment. I didn't know much about Twitter, but apparently the Wendy's account on Twitter was one of the first accounts that got really popular for like really blatant in their responses to people online. So they would like make jokes and like respond to tweets and that kind of thing. And I linked that all the way to around over here on this diagram where we go into TikTok intern territory. I feel like the originator of that, of like companies having a more chill approach to their marketing or online marketing, was Wendy's Twitter, or at least the first case of it that I could remember hearing about. Everything was great. Everything was great back then. I think it's because I was also at an age where nothing was really serious and I was just exposed to online a million different things. And all of a sudden, I was not only exposed to things that were popular, but also things that were unpopular.
You used to call me on my.
These days, all I ever wanted is that for someone else. Wait, guys, guess what time it is? Joking. We're gonna get on with the video because I'm sweating my off on this wig. So obviously for like 2015, I had to do like the Kylie wig. That girl is a real crowd, please. Also, doing this makeup was literal muscle memory. I didn't skip a beat. I watched so many tutorials. That Anastasia Beverly Hills dip brow, that stuff, I still have that. I use that on my face. That stuff is literally 10 years old. If I put the Kylie Jenner lip kit on, that would have actually glued my lips together permanently. So I didn't do that, but I just didn't have one lying around either. The next chapter we will be discussing my nerdy interests get recontextualized to the mainstream. So this is like 2015, 2016. Meme culture just explodes into the mainstream. Graphically, I would say this is when Instagram becomes sort of a social media that more people are having. And so there will be screenshots from Facebook, from Twitter, from Tumblr, from everywhere and anywhere being put as memes onto Instagram. Death of Vine. I didn't talk about Vine prior because I didn't know much about Vine basically until it died, which is kind of such a bummer. Like, I'm sorry. But I did know about all the Viners, like, because they all went over to Instagram. I mean, not even Instagram, YouTube. They went over to YouTube real quick. So I knew who they were. I remember even making some Vines on my own, but I think the platform literally shut down as I was getting on there. So I did not have much time with Vine. The Vine compilation videos, I learned a lot about Vine via YouTube. I remember I didn't purposefully memorize them. That I did, like Free Shabbat could do, like also muscle memory. Like I could recite them now. If somebody like road works ahead, I hope so. Like I could, like it is in him. I could do a whole separate diagram for Vine compilation videos alone. And like the amount of Vines, the amount of jokes, the amount of memes that came out of that. Yeah, death to Vine. Vine has moved to YouTube. The Ellen Show pipeline. Anything that got popular, I think I do link it. So the Ellen Show, we've got Dan Daniel, the white bands, and then Alex from Target. They were both on Ellen Show. Also, I don't have on here, but like Rosie and Poppy, do you guys remember? I think that's what their names are. That like those English girls that like sang Nicki Minaj and they got to meet Nicki Minaj and then they went like Barbie shopping. Literally me in another life, like literally my dream now, actually. I would love to be on Ellen and then like meet Nicki Minaj and then go Barbie shopping. Yeah, the Ellen Show pipeline. I saw this really fun tweet, not tweet, like, but it was somebody said that back in the day, as in this day, 2015, or like 2014, 2015, 2016, memes came to die on the Ellen. So they didn't have to be regurgitated years later. Like it had a natural end. And that was on the Ellen show. Hence the Ellen show pipeline. How things just ended up on the Ellen show and then they just disappeared. What a simpler time. Birth of King Kylie, obviously. Everybody, the way she was like 17 and she had everybody in a chokehold. She was dating Tiger, crazy, right? Everybody was in a chokehold. Honestly, looking back at photos of her, I was like, I don't know, 13 to 15 years old. She was 17. Like she was 17, 18 years old and she was looking like that. And I look back at photos of her now and I'm like, that's wild. Like that's actually, you look 25 above. But she just looked like that for like years. And then obviously, oh my God, the Kylie lip challenge when people were like sucking on their lips on like a shot glass, getting these really puffy lips. That was crazy. Kylie lip kits, obviously, that was a moment. I remember ordering some knockoffs from eBay back in the day. It was dangerous times. I was basically buying meth in the black market. Same thing. Same risk level, really. And she had those wigs, like wig. Okay. Wig. Did you say wig? Like she had a wig for every occasion. The girl would change wigs 3 times a day. We have 5 a day vegetables meals. She has 3 a day wigs. It was a moment. Like her makeup, her Snapchat story. So Snapchat made quite a late appearance in this diagram up here. Streaks. I saw my little brother send streaks the other day, and I was like, oh my God. Culture doesn't die. Evil doesn't die, it just reinvents itself. Demi Rose on the Daily Mail. Why did I know so much about this girl? Who was this girl? I always thought she was the girl that was on Modern Family, but then again, like on this timeline, I wouldn't be watching Modern Family until like 2018. Face filters. The origination, I would say, to face filters. Pre-face filters, I think what we had was Retrica. We had Retrica, people would take those like Retrica, like 4 in a grid photos. Last time I downloaded Retrica just to take a photo, like it took me back. And then Snapchat brings in these filters, especially the one with the rainbow that comes out of your mouth. Oh my God. On the dog, chokehold that thing had on people. And then I remember for a split second, literally an afternoon, may I say, they made that filter, they made filters like buyable, like you have to buy the filters, and then everybody was like, "What?" And then they didn't buy them, and then they made them free again. Then Instagram steals the Snapchat story feature, and then they introduced their own filters. Who knew this was just the beginning, you know? Those Snapchat filters that like blurred your skin a little bit. Also doing this or like this in every photo was crazy. Like this, like just covering your face entirely. Oh, bring that back. Baddie culture as in like eyebrows on fleek, beauty bloggers. Like, I mean, Kylie obviously like reigns supreme over there. Big territory for people like Jeffree Star. I actually don't have like necessarily a beauty influencer, like beauty YouTuber, like little pipeline over here. There is just a mention of it because the community was big. Oh, the only mention of it there is like, where is it, up here, this beautiful star, which is Dramageddon, but we will obviously get into that later. I remember being really, really desperate to have eyebrows on fleek. Like that was really big for me. And I remember because I didn't have any, like I had quite blonde light eyebrows, and I remember staying up really, really late in my bedroom, like I'm doing now at 23 years old. I've work tomorrow and I'm dressing up in my bedroom. I did exactly this 10 years ago, and I'm proud of that. You know, it's a really full circle moment for me. Yeah, no, I was desperate to have eyebrows, so I would like stay up all night and like try to get those eyebrows on fleek. Like that was the thing, eyebrows on fleek, the not cat eye, but like eyeliner, like that, just like winged eyeliner. I know some girls to this day that cannot leave the house without eyeliner on. Like it had heavy implications for society. And also, this is probably like the first point I want to make about this mirror subsection, where culturally at the time things were more liberal, or at least in my perspective that they were. By the way, every time I raise politics in this video, please don't come for me. I know nothing, okay? This is the perception that I have of the world. I don't know a thing. It's less about actual politics. It's more about like the aura that I got of the time. And that's why I feel like that was just like the political energy was different. So at the time, because of like, oh, also Drag Race was at its peak, not at its peak. I would say it was peaking around then, but there was just, it seemed that general Western media was a lot more liberal. I mean, we had all these like colorful, bright makeup looks, you know, everyone's faces was beat. I personal connection believe that a lot of the influences of that kind of makeup that became like the Morphe palettes, bro, the James Charles Morphe palette, the Jaclyn Hill one. I do believe that like a lot of that influence of like those bright, bold colors, shapes, all this like intense sort of makeup community uprising was like to drag queens, to drag makeup, to the drag community, especially like the limelight that it was getting through RuPaul's Drag Race at the time. Like this makeup, even doing it on myself today, it felt silly, but it felt really freeing. Like it was just like fun. It always resonates in me as a more liberal time. However, what I did want to say about baddie culture appropriation hits mainstream. Like the Kardashians went and took female bodies of like people of color and basically just like reshaped themselves into that. And they popularized that in a way amongst white women, I believe. And then, you know, we still see remnants of this BBL culture now because it had such weight. And it was just cultural appropriate. Let's be so honest. Like anybody who was like, this is cultural appreciation, girl. We're like a few letters off. You were so close. But it was a time. So notable figures to mention: Lady Pons, King Batch, Nash Greer, Cameron Dallas, oh my god, Madcon, pre-content hype house boys, all this stuff. We had Madcon, which was obviously like a little offshoot of boy group Epidemic and Vine. Pretty sure they overlapped. Like, well, oh, Shawn Mendes. Here you go. That's the overlap as well. Blue or gold dress. Wait, blue and grey or gold and white dress. I always thought it was gold and white. I don't know. Sorry. I never saw it blue and grey. Pepe the Frog. A lot of frog memes actually. We had like Vine, Pepe the Frog, Dat Boy, Tide Pods, Harambe. And I would say all of these are pre-red pill content. And that's what I've been told. Like, I categorize them by gut feeling. Oh, Alexis Ren. So Tumblr EDs get normalized. Chokehold that ab workout routine still has on me. And it's crazy because everybody looks like Alexis Ren now. But it was just her and Jay Alvarez, like, and them going to like Bali and stuff. They invented traveling. They literally did. Like, they invented eating watermelon on the sea in Bali. Kardashians, Biebers, Drake, Selena, Jelena. Any Jelena natures out there? Because I was following that deep. I mean, I was a Disney kid and I loved Wizards of Waverly Place and I loved Selena Gomez and I loved her music. I think Selena Gomez in the Scene, that was the first ever album I downloaded on iTunes and still listen to it to this day. Round and Round, are you kidding? Love You Like a Love Song, like My Dilemma, multiple books. Grammy award winning that album was. My question is, what happened to the Scene? As soon as the Scene left, the Scene changed. Drake, Hotline Bling. Yeah, that was blasted in the car. Five Nights at Freddy's, Shrekker's Love, Shrekker's Life. I think that was briefly touched on, but yeah, Five Nights at Freddy's another one of those games. It just goes like crazy overnight. I wish I could go back in time and tell myself in 2015 that they made a Five Nights at Freddy's movie, and guess who's starring in it? Peter from the Hunger Games. Peter! Look. So the next chapter, chapter 4, Calm Before the Storm. Peak King Kylie years, so 2016 to 2017. And in brief summary, I described it as the years when the political / cultural changes happened that could be traced to being the beginning of what culture of memes we have now, the quote-unquote last years before massive technological and cultural changes. So to give you a refresher of like what was going on, Netflix and chill. Death of Vine, I mean, we already had that, but more importantly, birth of Musical.ly. The birth of something that we didn't know what was. Yeah, something's coming. The calm before the storm. Meme calendars. We don't have meme calendars anymore. And there's a reason why. Whip and Nene. Distracted Boyfriend. SpongeBob Ooga Booga. Arthur Fist. Instagram creates its own meme format. It became pretty normalized that, not even normalized, but popularized for people to have big followings, like big meme accounts, big entertainment accounts on Instagram. Loud Bible. It started out by like making like jokey videos, like posting jokey videos from like all over the internet, right? And then it's now a business. Like it's big business. They do big collaborations with people. It's big business. Peak of King Kylie. So Eyebrows on Fleek, Squad Goals, Bay. Oh my god, her squad. Taylor Swift's squad as well. Taylor Swift Golden Years. I was streaming 1989. Cash Me Outside. Bad Baddie. So I actually remember seeing the Bad Baddie Cash Me Outside. Maybe like a year prior, 2 years prior to this. And it kind of like just, it didn't get that much traction. And then when it became super, super crazy popular and Bad Baddie got a platform and then released like Gucci Flip Flops, like, and all these songs that actually like good songs, like she's an artist, like she is a talented like individual. She had star quality to do so. It became very, very popular. And I think it's funny that it basically like time and place. And you did it at my birthday dinner. Fidget spinners. Fidget spinners, I would actually say, is like a weird precursor to ASMR. Lost meme creative wave. Oh my god. The way people analyze like ancient scripture and cave drawings and Egyptian hieroglyphics, that is the way people are going to analyze the lost meme in the future. They're going to be like, what is this? Like, people are going to find all these images and be like, these are all somehow connected. What does it mean? Like, I love stuff like this. I love that it was a comic that was actually really serious, that became not even a joke, but like a creative outlet for so many people. And it just proves how creative people are. So every time somebody like makes the argument of like, oh, like, I'm not an artist, like I could never draw, like I'm not creative. Everyone's creative. Everyone is creative. Everybody can do creative things. Like, just look at the lost meme. Speaking of Vine, I wasn't speaking about it, but let's say I was. At some point I was. So Vine has become YouTubers. Prominently, one of those top YouTubers is the Paul brothers, Logan Paul and Jake Paul. And this was also, I guess, the beginning of like really like big, like Team 10 that was started by Jake Paul. That was probably one of the first big examples of content farming and content creation and really like monetizing on influencers on a larger scale and it becoming business. Because like Team 10, they had investors, you know, they were living in this big house in LA and it was brilliant. It's everyday bro. It's everyday bro. Like unironically like would put that on at the party. Like, and then after that, Logan Paul's responds. And then after that, Alyssa's Violets and Rice Gums, it's Every Night Sis. I can quote all of those songs. Oh, it's Alyssa Violet. Used to be your chick. Now she on the Logan and you know she on my team. I just love it. Everybody was making music. Like it was some kind of like weird, funny resurgence of Rebecca Black, Matty B. Raps, people making skit videos about like music videos, skit videos, and now it was diss tracks. So we already like hit like one of these loops in trends. Victoria's Secret Angels, the Victoria's Secret lore. Like watching the last couple of Victoria's Secret shows has been truly disappointing. I think it died after that one Victoria's Secret show where Bella Hadid came out onto the stage when The Weeknd was playing. After that, all the tension was gone. Girls were queuing up, fighting, spitting, throwing hands, throwing money, demolishing their parents' credit cards on Victoria's Secret pink merch. What Lululemon is to some of these like preppy like tweens in America now is what Victoria's Secret pink was then. And it's such a bummer because I feel like they could totally have a resurgence if they had the right creative director on their team. Like if they could have done the show, like the last show, so much better. Swish swish that Ellen ass bob like pixie cut that Katy Perry had. What the hell was that? She had that flossing kid that I thought it was also I would say precursor to everything that happens on TikTok. Yodeling kid as well. Ellen DeGeneres pipeline as usual. Musically was big. Baby Ariel, and then that other Ariel girl that Baby Ariel walked so Addison Rae could run. David Dobrik Vlog Squad. And obviously that all went terribly downhill, but it was also a precursor to Mr. Beast, I would say. Like, David Dobrik managed to pull crazy strings crazy fast. And that was also, you know, part of this whole trend or vibe of content farming. Even though back then it was more authentic. Like, David Dobrik vlogs were slightly more authentic than like Logan, Jake Paul, Team 10 content, I would say. Maybe it was aimed at slightly like older people, like teenagers. Yeah, it's just a shame how things turned out. I mean, like in situations where in these things with Jake Paul and Logan Paul's, like with the Team 10, let's say, it was messy. However, I feel like there was more investors and structures in place. With David Dobrik, he blew up massively overnight. It meant that the other people of all of his vlogs, obviously there was a bit of a tussle for, I guess, money and how they kind of like monetized it and who was getting what out of it. And I feel like David Dobrik personally just like used more people unofficially. Whereas in Team 10, like people that were coming onto his house, they were signing contracts. Apparently Joe Rogan, that like podcasting also kind of like started getting a grip online. Emma Chamberlain, also overnight success. Or me personally kicking myself that I didn't have like a YouTube account back then, where I wish I had the confidence that I have now, but I had it like 10 years ago. But, time and place for everything. Here we are now. And with Emma Chamberlain specifically, I was never like a crazy fan of her. I mean, that goddamn teddy bear jacket. Oh my god. But I was never like a crazy, crazy fan of hers. One thing I do remember is her with the Dolan twins and James Charles. Also, James Charles obviously has blowing up. I don't know why. He's definitely mentioned on the diagram, but he's part of Dramageddon. So I just kind of put that in there. But he also definitely had influence, I would say, from 2016 onwards. Emma Chamberlain, one specific thing that I remember that I don't know if who else remembers it that I thought was really, really funny was when she basically scrunchies were like huge. Visco girls like and having like the Hydro Flask. Precursor to Stanley Cups, hello. She basically did a like launch of her own scrunchies and her own like line of scrunchies. And she like pixelated every single image of every single scrunchie on the website. So you were buying these scrunchies blind for like $20 or like $15 or something, which I think is hilarious. No, Emma Chamberlain did really well, to be fair. Like, I remember watching her Architectural Digest like a few years back and thinking, like, what the hell? Like, this is crazy. That girl, like, did not skip a beat. She got a team together that really looked after her and basically drove her in a completely different direction. Not a completely different direction, but in a good direction. And she became like a public figure. The influencer to public figure pipeline, like she executed that really well. And another person in the future who executes that really well is Brittany Broski, where she now has her own like show. And she got famous off of one viral video about kombucha. She really utilized her personality and grew a platform off of it beyond sort of just being an influencer and beyond being like a content creator, which I think is really, really cool. And Emma Chamberlain did the same. Taylor Swift gay allegations. The Carly Kloss stuff. This was his peak because Victoria's Secret Angels, etc. The songs, obviously, like the unreleased songs like Wonderland on the 1989 album. Like, yeah, girl, that was about that chick from Glee. What, like, the main categories, or at least like the points that I wanted to talk about in this chapter was, when does a meme die? That's in relation to meme calendars. Because back in the day, people would release meme calendars and there would be one meme like the Ooga Booga SpongeBob meme, the Tide Pops meme, whatever. That was popular for exactly a month. Or like it was given a month. It was given like 4 weeks to live and die. So post Ellen DeGeneres pipeline, it was this. Now, if you think about it, we can't have meme calendars because memes now have become trending sounds, or, everything's less image based and everything gets washed up a lot quicker, especially when it's taken by a company such as Demure and Mindful. That died very, very quick because every single company, every single brand, TikTok brand intern, which I will talk about later, got onto it and it died and started becoming a meme straight away. It was monetized, capitalized off of it, and it's not fun anymore. Also, brain rot beginnings. I would say that's associated with like fidget spinners. Slime is going to come up in a bit. I guess kids, first generation of iPad kids were becoming old enough to be posting and interacting on social media as well. And I think this is where the brain rot beginnings began. Like come on, the Jake Paul, Logan Paul Team 10 viewership was mostly like children. It was mostly like 12-year-old kids. Right-pilled content beginnings. So it's not even that they were the beginnings, it's just when people like Logan Paul and Jake Paul, I put them in this like, right-pilled content because they were like, edgy, or they were trying to be edgy, and there were obviously edgy incel-y things that were happening surrounding that. Also like the Ben Shapiro like react videos where he's like destroys blue head liberal. Is he's right behind me, isn't he? The Ben Shapiro videos, Jake Paul, there were definitely incel-y communities and online sort of forums, spheres that were much more obviously red-pilled. But I would say that these individuals, or like some of this edgier content that they were making at the time, this gave people, even like the Ben Shapiro react videos, on the surface innocent. However, two things. In the future, we do see how it does impact younger children. I mean, just think of like adolescents on Netflix now. Think of younger children being exposed to this, or like younger teens, tweens being exposed to this. And B, they had insanely huge platforms. So obviously they could hit more individuals at one time. So that is why I would say this for me was the right pill content beginnings, because it was done at such a mass scale and it was gaining popularity at such speed and such mass scale. The understanding of monetization, hence Team 10 houses, etc. Like they were realizing like, oh, we can literally put together all these influencers in one room and make crazy money and everybody profits off of each other. So hence purposeful content farming origins. This is the best I could do. I think one of the primal things that is missing from this outfit right now is scrunchies. I need a million oh, this. And oh, that was hilarious at the time. Also, this is a prop. My glass of prosecco is right here. Guys, yeah, you thought, right? Someone doesn't know the art of cinema. Have you even watched The Godfather? Yeah, I don't think so. I couldn't put on a champion hoodie for this part because I'm so sorry. It's like 30 degrees in London outside. It's atrocious. Saxo Nike. I got this, which I feel like actually becomes kind of like popularized later, but I feel like this was a moment because I didn't have a scrunchie. I had this beaded necklace, messy bun, obviously. I've got one of those like nose Bior strips, but it's not Bior, it's like the Star one, the Starface one. I don't know if that's when Starface came out with their dots or not. Brandy Melville t-shirt and Feel Raven bag, Feel Raven Kanken. Unfortunately, I could not get my hands on the yellow one. It's somewhere at my parents' house. But the grip, the deep fingernail grip Feel Raven Kanken had within Urban Outfitters, oh my god. So, this chapter is called The Beginning of the End, and it's from 2018 to 2019. The main bullet points brief summary is birth of TikTok, more dark humor culture online, the first trend cycle complete, because indie tweet kind of returns in the form of 2018 niche meme art ho aesthetic, Tesla's and content farming, public beef and allegations, beginnings of alt-right pipelines. Definitely. Or at least like you could see how some things happened that were completely set in stone after COVID. The actual summary point, like the actual points are Team 10. We have briefly talked about Team 10 prior. Now Team 10 has already changed members multiple times. You know, you should have kept those Spanish twins. As a great writer called Shakespeare once said, Epsi didn't kill himself. That was a weirdly serious meme. I mean, it's not even a meme, it's Dramageddon. So, if we go up here, so we're around here, we've just passed fidget spinners. Here, Musically comes along. Art ho aesthetic, as we always do, nerdy interests get recontextualized. On Musically, actually, Birth of E-Girls, Billie Eilish, the rebranding of Edge. I feel like that is what she did with her music, and indie, literally just like short trend cycle, nerdy interests get recontextualized into the mainstream. I wouldn't necessarily tie it back to anything specific on Tumblr, but definitely Tumblr trends and sort of niche interests of like, I don't know, girls who dressed up like they were in the 80s, 90s, etc. But on Tumblr, you know, that's becoming mainstream again. Birth of E-Girls, well, that is very, in my head, sorry, that is red pilled to me. It came from Twitch. I don't know enough about this. I would love to look into this in like a very deep way, but I haven't yet. This is my first deep analysis of anything, and it's not even that deep. I just name things off and be like, do you remember Belle Delphine? Oh, speaking of Belle Delphine, I saw a video literally pop up on my For You page like this week, and it was Belle Delphine, and she didn't have any of the makeup on, she didn't have the wigs on, she just looked like a normal girl in a normal dress on a podcast. God bless her soul. On a podcast, and some guy was asking her, like, why do you not dress like that anymore? She was like, I wish I could go back and never have done anything. And she looks like a trad wife on that podcast, and like it's on the diagram. And there is a pipe, it connects in my head, it connects. Anyway, another thing with Birth of E-Girls OnlyFans, naturally in my head also red-pilled connotations. Oh, with the Billie Eilish rebranding of Edge, actually comes along Sam Levinson's Euphoria, that he absolutely stole the concept of from Petra Collins. I'm sorry, justice for Petra Collins. Okay, he didn't steal, but like Petra Collins was, he mugged her off. Like she deserves better. Justice for Petra Collins. Or I'm gonna say or I'm going to say justice for Petra Collins. Oh my God, Dylan twins. iPad babies. I feel like iPad babies, like they had become, I started to see them, I think around 2018. It was like a first time a generation of teens was viewing kids that had to genuinely like grow up with an iPad. Makeup community peak circa 2018. The sheer fame you could receive, like the sheer influence you could have by being part of the makeup community was insane. Money. It was good money. The companies were on it, like companies were noticing how well these beauty influencers are doing. I feel like there were brand deals left, right, and center, if I'm honest. Literally, it was less about the companies, more about the influencers, and even influencers coming out with their own companies. So with their own products. So yeah, peak makeup community. And speaking of that, bam, Dramageddon, which involved Tati Westbrook, Shane Dawson, Trisha Paytas, Jeffree Star, and James Charles. Infamous. The ones who know. We obviously got so many good memes out of that. And you did it at my birthday dinner. Sucking time and place. That live stream from Shane Dawson, where he's like, oh my God, she's a liar. She's lying. So good. Jeffree Star basically leaving the internet yet again for being cancelled for something yet again, and then just leaving LA and then getting a farm in Wyoming. Hilarious. Hello. Trisha Paytas being involved, however, indirectly involved. And oh my God, this is the time when Shane Dawson was making documentary where it was like really dramatically edited, and it kind of like led to nothing, and it was like hours of footage. It was hilarious. I mean, not actually meant to be funny, but like it was hilarious to watch because it was like literally nothing. I think peak Shane Dawson for me was when he was with like the Ghost Boys. Yeah, Dramageddon was in itself a car crash after a car crash after a car crash. Yeah, I'm waiting for another big cancellation like that, but everybody cancels everybody nowadays. Trisha Paytas, why she's on there? Also, Frenemies podcast. And you know what? The fact that it stopped, like it didn't go on forever, made it a relic within like culture. What's the thinnest layer of the earth called?
The thinnest layer of the earth?
Correct. Oh my God, hi. Sorry. Just can't make it up. Love frenemies. Sometimes when I get like when I meet somebody out and about and they don't know who Trisha Paytas is, and I'm like, good activity, sit down and read through her wiki page. It's the most entertaining thing ever. There's so many things like you think it's going one way and it just goes completely a different way. You just never know what the next sentence is. Musically turns to TikTok. The first breakout star obviously being Charli D'Amelio. Crypto and Mr. Beast. Scrolling major monetization. It's the only star I have on here that isn't necessarily like a certain system. To I tie Mr. Beast, and then also circulating TikTok trends and audios. That becomes basically a meme format. Alpha male. That comes around in 2019, early sort of roots of it, 2019. Obviously blows up during COVID. And beyond that, out of alpha male, we have Sigma male, Simp, Grind Set, the Joker movie. Oh my God. People who say like, oh, this is going to be my Joker, because boys were absolutely lapping up the Joker movie. Like, not just men, a whole lot of people were like lapping it up. And I remember actually watching it on a plane years after it came out. And I was like, this is like an incel anthem. This is the funniest, like, I can't believe somebody sat here and wrote the script. I know maybe it's supposed to be, because it's like a comic book character and da-da-da-da-da. But all these like superhero Marvel DC like films, they're always filmed in such like a serious note. And then they will just have the worst dialogue you've ever heard. And so I was sitting there and I was like, you've just presented me this really, really deep, realistic story. And then you'll say the most incel like, and I bet you never really cared. And society never cared about me. Like, how can I take this seriously now? I think that was like the whole point of like the Joker. Like that was the whole, I don't know, joke about it. And I still to this day will be like, that's gonna, like some piece of media is gonna be coming out. And I'll be like, that's gonna be my Joker. Oh, fun one. ASMR. Slime 2018 slime. Mukbangs. Carpet washing videos. This is all coming about. It's not yet a genre officially, but it's really quickly becoming one, especially slime. Everybody was in their house trying to make slime. Oh, I don't think it was even this late. I think it must have been quite early because I remember trying to make slime. 2017, I would say. Everybody in the UK was struggling with like trying to replace something. They were really like, slime tutorials, no borax. We did not have borax. I was asking mom like, please, can we get some borax? Mom was like, no. She was like, what even is borax? They don't sell borax in this country. Or maybe they do, it's just we didn't have it in like our local like corner shop or something, like a grocery store. Ricardo Avocado, I guess he was one of the pioneers of this genre. I think it's crazy because I only recently learned about his whole sort of arc, and the fact that he started out as like a health YouTuber and then went towards mukbangers was crazy. And like how it changed, how his content changed is wild. Who had daddy podcasts? Who bought it? Barstool bought it? Cody Co, Girl Defined. Cody Co and Noel Miller sat there and made fun of Girl Defined back in 2018, and we all lapped it up. That video has like 30 million viewers. I wonder how many of those 30 million has now become the trad wife, or is it like turned to God? What was Mormon? No, but it's like, seriously, who was watching? Like, there must be some people who watched that and were like, oh, look at these stupid God-defying girls, da, da, da. And then they became Mormon. Must be somebody. And if anything, them making fun of them was giving those girl-defined girls a spotlight. And so people went to their channel, started watching them, you know, like, being like, oh, this is so silly, isn't it? Like, girls, this is so, like, outdated and old-fashioned. But in a way, that was the origin. The fact that, you know, a lot of these red-pilled things that are quite scary for society in a way, all the origins of it are innocent. They're all innocent fun, or they're all sort of, like, innocent poking fun of them. Like, you know, making fun of the thing that the ones that actually becomes cool at some point, or a trend, or a culture. Like Teslas. You see Teslas on the road now all the time. It all has a very simple beginning. And if you give it attention, it will grow like a plant. It will bloom.
I'm just a little.
Sorry for the last clip, by the way. I forgot to put the lamp on the diagram. But the spotlight is back. I'm not refilming it. I'm sorry. Netflix, HBO isn't behind this. I'm not refilming it. The outfit is these flared leggings, this top, and this. That's it. Nobody was going anywhere. If I made a TikTok in this outfit, it would have been amazing. The thing that would elevate this look would be if this wall was painted in cow print. Look at you, strawberry cow, baby, wow, and you gone Monday. This chapter is called 2020, and it's 2020. Speaks for itself. Brief summary points. COVID happens. Main brief summary points. Speed of culture. This is kind of like a general point, but this is the year where the speed of culture accelerates massively to a scale that I had not seen prior to this. Everything here, it was like, I don't know, 10, 20, 30, 40 miles an hour. And then here we hit 100. We can't go back now to how things were, overconsumption, and how screen time during this time altered people to this day. Main talking points of this is COVID. Obviously, OnlyFans rise. Everybody and their mother, maybe not everyone's mother. I hope not. But I mean, unless it worked out well, then like good on you. But creators, the people you knew were getting OnlyFans. Like it was crazy. Addison Rae. So after, you know, Team 10, I think I kind of skimmed over this. After Team 10, we've got the Hype House, right? All of these TikTokers have a huge McMansion in like LA, and they get to spend COVID there and like make TikToks, and it's like amazing because it's like, well, there's actually nothing better for them to do. And it's not like they chose like, oh, you know what, I'm gonna go, and like it was like a huge necessarily risk at the time to be like, yeah, I'm gonna go pursue like influencing full time. Hell, I should have done it. I should have been doing all of this 5 years ago. Anyway, memes-wise, Tiger King. The thing is, I genuinely believe if Tiger King came out anywhere before COVID, nobody would have cared that much. But because nobody had anything else going on, everyone was like, okay, what's on Netflix? Streaming platforms expanded massively. Disney, Paramount, Prime, finally like met the status of Netflix, I would say. Among Us, Sus. We've got a lovely little, we've got a bunch of new words introduced. I mean, I would say this is kind of post-COVID, but Sus and Among Us, like that came at the same time, I feel. But from that, we also have Riz, Mid, and Skibbity Toilet Riz, Baby Gronk and Livy Dunn. I might be skipping ahead. But also up here in the diagram, we have Musk and Grimes' Baby. That is just, it was a weird time. Toilet paper hoarding, Black Lives Matter. It's crazy to me as well because I was, as I said, like, I wouldn't know this much stuff of like internet culture if I wasn't like here in 2011. And I swear, like, Black Lives Matter was always something I knew about since being on the internet. And it was shocking to me that Black Lives Matter only gained some like public awareness in 2020. Musk and Grimes, baby. Ridiculous. Brain rot. I love the fact that the term brain rot is has rot in it, like you're rotting. Brain rot, it feels like an organism that grew during this time. Analogy-wise, metaphorically, physically, because COVID, it was a disease spreading, etc. Also, something that was fun at that time was that nature was healing. Like, nature's healing. There's photos of Venice that were with the clear water. Instagram Reels. So TikTok blows up. Everyone's at home. Everyone's kind of heard about it. I mean, general public that doesn't really trust it, but like, hey, we don't have anything better to do. If anything, this is the moment for me where videos are over images. So image formats of memes has become predominantly videos. This is where the circulating TikTok trends and audios come in as a meme format. Clean girl aesthetic blazes up the club. I mean, we can't go to the club yet, so that comes in later. The makeup community, I said in 2018, was the makeup community peak because at 2020, all of that went out of the window because like, oh, I don't have anywhere to go out to. Why would I be doing my makeup? But also because makeup companies, the companies that just previously profited of all these influencers, everybody is now caring about skincare. Everyone has time to look after themselves, whether it's not go to the gym, but work out or, pursue these more goals that are associated with our face, with our identity, with our physical identity. Makeup companies are like, hey, we don't actually need to sell you palettes anymore. We can sell you, along with the palettes, we can sell you a 12-stage skincare routine where you need all of these different creams. Marketing-wise, brilliant. Clean girl aesthetic, it wasn't something that just came up, because of culture. It was because of 2020. Cottagecore, I thought it was a cute aesthetic even before like COVID. I say this because this is my assumption, so obviously not fact. I would say the cottagecore videos that were going really viral at the time were like the women or the girls, they were like the people living on farms, really rural. And they were making these simple life, like trad wife, as we're gonna get onto in a bit, simple life, trad wife videos. People were eating it up. It makes complete sense in like a few years post this, when I discussed trad wife free family vlogging, etc. It became a thing. It became a lifestyle to leave the city, to abandon the fast-paced life that city dwellers have of trends, of this, of that, and returning to like the basics. COVID bred that environment. I would say this is the origins, at least in an online space that I remember myself being part of. This was the origins of it for me. Athleisure. I would say athleisure was always on the rise since 2014. King Kylie definitely has something to do with it. I feel like athleisure brands, brands who are making comfortable clothing, insane rise. Shein, Temu, AliExpress. Temu, not yet, but Shein, AliExpress, crazy rise. So overconsumption became the norm. If it was not the norm prior, it definitely became the norm now because everything became absolutely 100% more accessible online. In general, I would say very little meme changes because everyone was stuck at home. The biggest meme change was video over image. We get accustomed to content creation and watching short videos over long ones. So yeah. And also because of the politics of COVID, it was Trump's final year, I think. You could see that along with this cottagecore content, I would say early trad wifery trends, clean girl aesthetic, I would say these aren't red-pilled things, but they are paving the way to a more conservative culture that I would say, have now in 2025. Fit check, you already know what it is.
Watch me.
Barbie Summit. I mean, maybe you didn't know what it was. Actually, I bought this dress in Mexico, Zara, Mexico, but like in Mexico, when the movie was just premiering, Irreplaceable Summer 2023. This chapter is called Post-COVID Reintegration Years from 2021 to 2023. When I was writing this up, it was really tough to like pinpoint things in those years. Everything's in one, and I know people are gonna be like, oh, well, you can't ignore it. I'm sorry, I just didn't remember it. I didn't remember it For me, it was just all the blah. But I was also like going into university and like a lot was going on. I wasn't too on the ball because everything seemed explosive post COVID. It all became not very memorable because everything was like the funniest, the biggest meme, and things were moving a lot quicker. But now things were moving even quicker because we're not just all sat at home. We're integrating back to society. So it was just harder to keep track, especially with the speed at which the internet evolved in during COVID. The general summary points are due to everything being online, a lot of people never reintegrated back into society because they found jobs and community online. Also, communities formed and information online during COVID is now finding its way back into public society. So what I mean by that is that I feel like because we had to, like everybody in all different age categories had to, switch to going online to access everything, work, school, businesses, shopping, grocery shopping, like people were ordering online instead of going in. Like a lot of people came adjusted to the online space. And so suddenly like, I would love to see the statistics on like how many, I don't know, yummy mummy Facebook groups were formed. People really found each other online because they had the time to. That has good connotations, but I am mostly, as a natural pessimist, but also in the scale of this diagram, gonna note that, for example, like this red pill content, in a way, more people, more like incel people found community online. On the diagram we are about here, and family vlogging, my favorite. That's coming up in a little bit. Brain rot, skibbity toilet riz, all this stuff that I mentioned prior, but it hasn't stopped. It's continuing. So, other adults were like, have you heard of Skibbity Toilet? Sydney Sweeney being mad. We remember Sydney Sweeney from Euphoria. Also, the second season of Euphoria was coming out. She had this like allure of essentially blonde Hollywood bombshell with like huge boobs. We've seen them before. Kate Upton, like it's not something revolutionary, but she had that sort of girl next door kind of look to her. I feel that really attracted a large male audience. I remember seeing a few articles online about the fact that somebody tweeted like, oh, Sydney Sweeney is actually like mid. And all these articles were kind of more in the way of like, what is the beauty standard? Because if good looking, gorgeous individuals that have a platform are being washed out in the online forum to be mid, like what is next? Like what what is considered the standard now? Squid Games was big. Post 2020, a lot of shows started coming out that were about class and about money. White Lotus, for example, and that's very much about sort of like the American like class divide and sort of prejudices we have to do with money. Red flags. That's a terminology I think that came about during this time. So like red flag behavior, girl math, the trend. I just asked ChatGPT to basically write this up for me to explain it in a better way because I feel like I wasn't getting that anywhere with my words. Though initially lighthearted and humorous, quickly veered into infantilizing territory by portraying women as financially irrational or incapable of basic money management. What began as a tongue-in-cheek way to justify spending evolved into a stereotype-laden joke that reinforced harmful tropes about women being frivolous or financially immature. While the trend may have started with playful intent, it ultimately contributed to misogynistic narratives, undermining women's financial autonomy and reinforcing outdated gender norms under the guise of humor. In the political space of 2022 to 2023, the infantilization embedded in trends like girl math fed into a broader cultural narrative that questioned women's incompetence and decision-making power, subtly echoing sentiments used to undermine women in leadership, policy, and electoral influence. As reproductive rights were challenged and female politicians faced increased scrutiny and online harassment, seemingly harmless trends like girl math reinforced gender stereotypes that politicians and media used, consciously or not, to delegitimize women's authority. These narratives contributed to a climate where dismissing women's expertise, especially in economics, governance, or bodily autonomy, became easier to justify under the guise of humor or internet culture, ultimately reinforcing systemic misogyny in both public perception and policy discourse. Girl math evolved into like girl dinner, into this, into that. It became public scrutiny of women in so many different ways, even though, as I previously said, the initial trend or like the initial emotional thinking or joke wasn't exclusive to women. It's a human perk. It's a human thing that we, sometimes excuse our own behaviors. I mean, hey, how many shows, BoJack Horseman, Girls have been written about moral dilemmas of people, of how we aren't perfect people, and exploring sort of the human condition in that where we're not protagonists, not antagonists. Andrew Tate, alpha male Andrew Tate. I always, even from the beginning, when I saw the initial like uprising of Andrew Tate and all his videos and his content and how it got sort of a major platform and people were criticizing it, rightfully so, my initial thought was like, people can't be falling for this. Like, this guy's an idiot. Like, he's saying things that are so stupid. The most horrifying thing to me was that there were like grown adult men that were falling for this whole like brand that he's built, as if we haven't been on the internet for like all this time, as if we haven't had celebrities and all kinds of sort of public figures build a brand around themselves. So it was a fascinating thing to see so many people popularize Andrew Tate, then so many people go onto a public platform and discredit him. Because I think I said this prior, but like, when you pay attention to these things, you give them more of a platform. You could criticize me right now for giving all of this platform. Am I growing up? Am I growing out of this? Because why are people discussing this? Like, this is so black and white. Like, he's some douchebag with a camera and a microphone. Guilty. He's some douchebag with a microphone and a camera, and he's just spreading his, like, made up gospel because he needs some attention out of it. And you guys, the ones who follow it, and then you guys, the ones who actually like want to, discredit him, which is like, I understand it's coming from a good place. You're all giving it to. Like, I actually cannot believe Andrew Tate and his whole thing blew up to such a crazy extent. To be fair, I don't mean this in regards of like the actual allegations of, or even not allegations. I think he did go to court of like human trafficking, all this stuff. That's really bad. So, yeah, of course, that has to be taken seriously and talked about. But yeah, a lot of it was just interesting to me. Twitter becomes X. That sucked, if I'm honest. Circulating TikTok audios become the new meme format. Barbie 2023, Barbie summer. TikTok to clean girl aesthetic to girl math to late stage capitalism. And out of late stage capitalism, we suddenly get a lot of media that is nostalgic, because we are nostalgic to like a simpler time. It's the perfect time to have Barbie summer, to both address like serious things that are happening within female autonomy politics, Roe versus Wade, etc. And also just to throw back to a lot of our childhoods. Not just my childhood, women have had Barbies through years. It was a unifying thing. It was like a very pure unifying thing, and I'm so happy that it got the platform and the praise that it did. It was truly one of those things when people felt united, as everybody was going to watch the Barbie movie. You and your boys were going to go watch the Barbie movie. It was a really, really great summer for me. It was really, really fun to do it with my friends. It was just something fun, and it took a lot of people out of, the insanity that was happening around us. Hence, nostalgia is like a theme for other things is very relevant. Things that I even pre-COVID, because it was, COVID changed so much. So suddenly I wasn't, people were nostalgic about 5 years ago. The speed of culture accelerated so much that we were nostalgic about things that happened last year. OnlyFans rise. That was already kind of discussed. Instagram carousels. So Instagram Reels happened in August 2020 because of the great rise of TikTok, obviously, and Instagram had to keep up. The same way Instagram stole Snapchat stories and has Instagram stories, they've been new for taking stuff. So they also introduced Instagram carousels, which kind of prolongs that attention span of people, similar to, videos over image. Riz, Baby Gronk, Riz is up, Livy Dunn, Gen Alpha culture. I guess a lot of Gen Alpha kids are now, I'm pretty sure I've seen like TikToks and edits and stuff of like Gen Alpha kids reminiscing on stuff that happened like 3 years ago. And I'm like, guys, you're too young to be nostalgic. Like, this is actually kind of crazy. I feel too young to be nostalgic, but here we are. Even small changes, I think, a lot. Not even that. None of the changes are small. That's the thing. None of the changes are small. So I completely understand why Gen Alpha are already reminiscing on something that might have happened 10 to 5 years ago. I've seen edits of people being like, oh, I wish I was a teen in 2014, which is crazy to me. I'm like, am I old? And I'm like, no, I'm not old. It's just everything's changing so quickly and they don't have anything to grasp onto. Family vlogging. Here we are, ladies and gentlemen, family vlogging. So, biggest players in family vlogging, 8 Passengers. Crazy, right? The fact that this year in 2025, we got a documentary on Ruby Frank and all of the things that went down with that poor family. I completely understand why family vlogging, even though it was happening prior to this, it exploded. Because now you didn't have to like, as a family vlogger, you didn't like have to like commit to, buying a camera, buying a expensive setup, It was as easy as posting a photo of your kid online or posting like a little reel, creating content became a lot easier, through TikTok videos, through Instagram reels. So I understand why family vlogging kind of blew up and it was getting noticed. And also they were making stupid money out of it. Now, I think there was something that happened, I don't know the details of it. They passed a law in California, I think, about family vlogging. Well, not vlogging, but sort of families using their children online for the sake of monetization, which I think is like a step forward. But even now, family vlogging, maybe some of it is just coming to light, but it's going to be a very, very dark underbelly in our society that we have to flip open at some point. Family vlogging also had wife-free Nara Smith. So back in the day, I remember Lucky Blue Smith with Storm is her name, the model, and their baby, and how like she would post about her baby then and but I think she stopped posting her kid on social media, or like she stopped posting her face on it for the sake of just privacy, which was valid. That it's crazy that Nara Smith sort of gained this platform of both promoting family vlogging and also the trad wifery movement. She's the epitome of selling this trad wifery that I previously talked about in cottagecore, how it's slowly rising up to this. That was the flipping switch, like seeing this beautiful, gorgeous model in these outfits in this beautiful home doing these things. Like, she made life look great, and it's wild to me that she is my age and she has 3 children. But I'm pretty sure Lucky Blue Smith, I think they're both Mormon or something. Maybe not Mormon, maybe just a Christian, but it definitely normalized it. Also to this beige babies. But the whole idea of beige babies is, if you don't know what I'm talking about, so beige babies is kind of like this like term that came about because these family vloggers, yummy mummies, that were posting on social media with their kids as setups, with what their kids were wearing, with the baby stools they had, with the toys they had. A lot of them like went to this sort of like beige aesthetic, and like there was a bigger point that came, I think it was post 2020, with athleisure wear, rise with Shein, etc., with consumption. There's this online analogy, something along the lines of like when we're in a recession, like color fades or something. Like we fade in color, we fade in individuality. That's what rings a bell to me in my head about these beige babies, because they would be posting like these, like it would be more about ornamentation and showing a life online. Like these mums would have these beautiful like baby rooms set up, but they'd be looking like hotel rooms or like nicely furnished, like Nordic, all wood, like colorless rooms for their children. And people online would criticize them and be like, children need like colorful toys and stuff to develop like eyesight, like develop colors in their eyesight, that kind of thing. Suddenly, even a child's life was more about, fitting a certain aesthetic. And so even having children became part of like an aesthetic. It became something that you could sell to somebody in a way. I'm not talking about selling children, oh my God. Selling a lifestyle. So there's that sort of idea of selling this lifestyle. It all went into family vlogging. My Roman Empire, that was a fun one. Something about guys would talk about the Roman Empire, and then everybody started being like, well, my Roman Empire is da-da-da-da-da. It's like some topic that you could like talk for ages about. This is my Roman Empire. Everything is cake. Oh, speaking of aesthetics, strawberry girls, tomato girls, like blueberry nails, it's just the categorization of personalities and personal styles. I think that's just a direct consequence of overconsumption. Now we suddenly have so many more subsections. It's insane. And who's profiting off of it? Not you, not me. A company that's using these slogans to sell you this stuff because it's building a false relationship with you. And with clean girl aesthetic, it's like everyone's clean. I hope everybody takes showers regularly and keeps themselves clean. Having clear skin isn't an aesthetic. It's just some people cannot achieve clear skin because of their like genetics or something. What's going to happen to those people? It's literally categorizing people and separating people. And hey, it's kind of like cult mentality. It's like, how do they get you? They alienate you. Major cancellations. Shane Dawson, James Charles, Corinne Hoover. That's just everybody. Corinne Hoover, goddamn ukulele. Oh my God. Shane Dawson cancellation was pretty heavy as well. James Charles got cancelled a bunch, but I feel like it all went down with Dramageddon, and it's very interesting to see celebrities that have been cancelled and then who have come back post being cancelled, because some of them just don't, and they completely erase their public platform because they do their apology video. Oh, remember when everybody's doing apology videos and it's always like that goddamn, even like Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis, everybody has that grey tracksuit, no makeup look, like plain white wall. After I release this video and somebody cancels me because of it, bro, this is going to be the setup. I'll just like cross the diagram out. But cancellation, somebody who's actually avoided cancel culture to the best of their ability is Trisha Paytas. And I feel like a lot of the factors that influence whether you survive cancel culture or not is A, your audience. Who is your audience? And B, how much you acknowledge it or not. Obviously, I wouldn't even say this is a point. obviously the first point is what's the crime, but then those are the other two factors. Because, for example, Trisha Paytas, she's gone online and I think she's apologized for some things. She's also not apologized for a lot of things. She'll just be, anti-Semitic, this, that. But she has a history of just doing everything full same. Look at her wiki. This is her life. This is what she does. OG rage baiter, literally. And because she's been around for so long, because she just keeps going despite it all, she now has a show on Broadway. Did anybody see that? That was crazy as fuck. She is one of the only cases that I can say has truly avoided everything. You cannot hit that Pentagon, man. She is bulletproof. Intern brand TikTok. Now, this is a fun one. So TikTok was never a platform that needed to be looked after or companies needed to be on, but obviously post 2020, a lot of companies did jump on it and realize that actually we do need this in our portfolio of socials. And to corporate companies, it was under the radar what was going on there and who was using it and how much you can actually gain from it. They kind of handed all of the responsibility of running these things to interns. Now, having a company TikTok is a major game changer, and it's something a lot of companies need. FMCG companies do very, very well. God, Ryanair, Duolingo, a lot of these other companies, not FMCG, but because they were there early and these interns really built these pages from the ground up, and they were like this Wendy's Twitter thing from a while back. They were really just blatant with their jokes and their humor, and they responded to people, and they humanized big corporations. This is going to be in marketing books. I know Ryanair has charged at least one of you for a big bag. Actually not a big bag, a bag that was completely decently sized. And yet there we were, liking their posts because they just had someone kind of funny that knew what was going on online, making content and responding to people in real time. So intern brand TikTok became its own thing, if anything, where companies would beef each other with this, that, they became people, they became characters on the online space. Last thing I wanted to mention during this time is just something that I noticed. Jack Antonoff being ran through. Taylor Swift, Lord, Lena, Margaret. My God, that some evil force lies in that man. No, he's not evil. He's just kind of a really pessimistic, just indie guy from New York. And he's managed to build this platform through all these other women. And I'm not saying he doesn't do good work. We got melodrama. We got Girls. We just got Lena Dunham's Too Much on Netflix. We got Lana Del Rey's Margaret. Just one of those people. If I'm really honest, I'm really sorry. He's doing this to me. Jack Antonoff's ran through. Good for him. I bet everyone's just looking around being like, what does this do now that I don't? But yeah, I personally don't believe he has anything. He has luck. Personal belief. Closing points of this whole chapter is short video content becomes more favored than image memes. Also, I guess people kind of the beginning of people getting bored of reels, of short content. We just had them for 3 years straight. It's everyone's attention span is screwed. Actually, people want to sit down and enjoy something meaningful. Monetization via TikTok Shop and every other social media are at an all-time high because they realized how well it worked out during COVID. So this is where the brand intern TikTok comes in. Makeup to products comparison. So skincare's over makeup because obviously companies can make a lot of money out of that. Health prioritization. If you think about it, just very polarizing to a place where we were in maybe 2018 where everything was more body positive and just calmer, freer. So I don't blame for Gen Alpha to be romanticizing 2014. I don't blame them. There's so much going on. Well, mate, you can join us. Have you been to this small place restaurant before? Constant chit chat, anybody? Yeah, you've never heard of London Fields? Someone have is so overrated. They literally just let anybody in these days. Where's the creative community outlet? I'm trying to meet other creatives. Yeah, I'm a freelance photographer. Okay, enough. You might be wondering why I'm dressed this way. Me too. So I have the outfit of every creative in London ever. No, not every. I'm sorry for categorizing you guys. The ones who know. This is the penultimate. This is nearly the last chapter. This one is from 2023 to 2024, and this one is called The Internet Isn't Fun Anymore. And the brief summary of it is, I'm glad Gen Alpha is having fun, but I just feel continuously sold to. Red Pill content is rising and resold to women through trad wifery. Everyone's an influencer and somehow monetizing new parts of their lives every single day. I'm tired. A lot of content created by companies, brand intern TikTok, as a way of fitting in and profiting off of memes and the fun, but also creating their own genre of meme in a way. In this category, we're about here. I didn't mention the crazy introduction of ChatGPT, by the way. I apologize. But from ChatGPT, we got a lot of memes, actually. Personalized memes, reaction image revival came out of ChatGPT, I would say, because people were making new images of things. The meme AI could never recreate this. Also, just in general, comments as memes. I feel like we've actually transgressed into a whole new genre and somehow made a loop back to Twitter. Don't hate the player, hate the game. Chat is this real? I always thought chat is this real is like asking Chat GPT if that's real or not, which I now, in hindsight, realize is really dumb. Apparently, chat is this real is talking to Twitch streamers. It's like a Twitch thing where you're talking to. I'm sorry. I want to humbly apologize to the Twitch. I want to humbly apologize to the Twitch community. Anti-memes, quantum memes. I've been talking about brand TikTok, or like brand intern TikTok a lot, but I think the most defying instance of it has been last summer, the Mirror Mindful. Companies went and killed that off within a week. I'm really glad the person who made that video, like the original video, profited off of it, like as you should. Yeah, it just killed the meme. They're getting fast. I am fast. Hire me. If you're an advertising company watching this right now, none of these advertising people are gonna get this far into the video. But if you are, it's my application. The rise of de-influencers. People finally, maybe I'm like better than all of you. JK, I'm not better than anybody else, if not worse than most people. I started to see people being like calling out a lot of this hyper consumption and being like, this is stupid. Like, you don't need a miniature Stanley Cup on your Stanley Cup. I would love to make a personalized video analyzing Stanley Cup culture because Hydro Flask is really jealous right now that Stanley Cups gets all these accessories, all these add-on bits to it. I'm pretty sure there's influencers that literally just specialize in Stanley Cups. Overconsumption final bosses. If I was 12 living with Timu the way it is now, I would have been a menace. I would have been the overconsumption final boss. That's why I can't even blame Gen Alpha. Like, cost of living crisis, all these offshoots like nostalgia, consumer final bosses, cost of living crisis, girl math, TikTok shop, intern brand TikTok, Ocean Gate, de-influencers. It's all connected to late stage capitalism, I feel. Ocean Gate, that was a moment and a half. I mean, Triangle of Sadness, I have this down here, comes out later on. And, if you watch that movie, you know what I'm talking about. Actually, while we're on this, there's like a culture of films coming out right now. Well, not right now, but in the last 2 years, I would say. Films and shows connected to White Lotus, connected to what I said previously about they have being about work, class, status. What I really enjoy about it is that they have this stillness to them where there's a weird feeling of inevitability. It's something that's so close to real life that have us reflect on our own self. I don't know, whatever. I just want a whole side quest there. Nostalgia, cool. The memes have become so meta. Liminal spaces. I feel like we really value memories nowadays. The Uniqlo bum bag and the Adidas Sambas. I think this is just a change in trends. But the Uniqlo bum bag, I think it's actually a bit earlier in this diagram, directly tied to Beige Baby's family vlogging, also to Team Express and Sheen, Athleisure Wear rise of normalcy. When I said like that thing about where color fades in a society or like in trends and in what's popular, because we're all trying to finish one of these personality categories. It's like, why is normalcy trendy? Can you even count that as a trend anymore? What is a trend? What's going to be next? What's going to be trendy next? Like white t-shirts? Kind of an American Apparel vibe, if anything. Blazers at the club. This is a direct consequence of athleisure wear. The slickbacks. I'm an anti-slickbacker, I'm sorry. Hog tour. I called it red-pilled. It's up here. I called it red-pilled. I don't need to explain. This far in the video, I don't need to explain myself why it's red-pilled. I feel like the people who stayed know. Water talk. Hilarious. It's basically like also mostly predominantly Americans mixing water with a bunch of powders and a bunch of like food coloring and glitter and stuff because they just can't drink water for some reason. Enya and Drew Emergency Intercom. I mean, they've been around for ages. They've been around since Vine. They have a bunch of offshoots. A really fun connection that I like is that, up here we're going up and up and up. Vine, Logan Paul, David Dobrik, Jason Nash, live stream wars, Josiah, Emergency Intercom. Everything is connected. But yeah, Emergency Intercom. Two people talking about nothing. Entertainment. Nepo babies. This was definitely talked about prior to 2023 to 2024. Just in the world, I mean, not on this video. I think it's fascinating when you look at the fashion industry or talent industry, so actors, models, etc., that a lot of Nepo babies have the spotlight in those industries right now. I feel like that's always happened. It's just we didn't know about it that much. It wasn't that apparent. So now everything is Googleable. Everybody can just go online and look and see and do their research. Something I didn't do for this video. I also think that because Nepo babies are so prevalent in our current media, whether it's music or acting or modeling, same as the rise of normalcy in a weird, funny parallel, those sectors, if not more, are becoming bleak. Media is becoming bleak. I know I'm going to get hate for this, but Gracie Abrams, yeah, she did like, Push You Again, Me Up, like pop genre, good pop song, I would say, but also of its time, I would say pop music right now is on like a if it's not been for a while. When it comes to nepo babies in fashion, let's say, like models who are kids of somebody that was famous, within the fashion industry, there's always been they've set standards for beauty for years. And so now these kids that, I'm not saying they're not beautiful, of course they're beautiful. If they just get walked or, let to go on these runaway shows, A, I feel bad for them because they must be torn to shreds online. And two, it sets a very strange standard of what is beauty, what is talent, what is beauty, what is good music. Because right now, all that is good, or all that is, not all, but most, that gets press is funded by money. And so it just sets the question of like, well, what is true art? What do we actually like as people? And I feel like not enough people take a step back from their lives to be like, actually, what if I didn't buy that Uniqlo bum bag? What bag would I have bought? If I didn't have these Adidas Sambas, what shoes do I actually like? No wonder we have rise of normalcy. People don't have the brain power, I feel, me included, on some points, to analyze what they actually think is cute, good, great. Media is desperate for a trend cycle. I feel like there's numerous trend cycles happening all at the same time right now, which is such a mess. A mess, not in a bad way, just like in an interesting way. Gen Alpha romanticizing Tumblr 2014. Instead of utilizing new technology, people go back to digital images, like digicams. This is what I was saying about the documentation. Like, people are going back because they're actually tired of technology. Meme calendars don't exist anymore because everything is either taken by companies or never lasting long enough to be remembered. Graphic format changes to low-effort Instagram captions. Love this one, actually. I think this is hilarious. The fact that this is just a thing now. Niche memes still exist within communities. This is what I'm going to get onto the next chapter. I'll see you on the other side. Oh, before we hit the other side, I've invited some of my friends over to just chat to me about some of these things, about the diagram. And so it's going to be like a nice brief intermission before we get to the last bit. If you don't like it, skip it. But yeah, enjoy. Shout out to my friends. Alright. So we were talking about cancellations, and we were basically discussing, like, do you remember what, like, the first cancellation ever was? Like, in your mind?
I think it has to be like Jeffrey, like beauty community. Yeah, because obviously, I mean, I was entrenched in it because as a kid, like I think my first like intro into YouTube was just all beauty related. Like, my yearbook quote was aged so badly was yearbook like, where do you see like 5 years from now? It's like working with Jeffree Star. But I think the first like cancellation would to me actually would be Kat Von D and Jeffree Star. That person was just collecting cases, I swear, because every palette he had in collaboration with somebody, they got cancelled like months after. It's like some curse. Yeah, but didn't he do a video of just like a whole face of makeup, like a full face of makeup of people that like I got cancelled, like that I cancelled. I guess that's what you were saying, where it's like that was not Jeffree Star proof. You wait long enough. It's like you either die a hero or you wait long enough to be a villain. It's kind of been like the cancellation one the other way around. It's like he just can't be cancelled. He's a cockroach. It's like you either die a villain or you just stay long enough to be a hero. Yeah. Hence Trisha Paytas. Yeah. And I feel like Jeffree Star's kind of the same. I feel like he's so uncancelable because he like everybody cancels him, but then at some point, like he speaks some sort of truth. But like, what is it? A broken clock is right twice a day. Yeah, so like Dramageddon, I feel like that's the whole. When I think
Dramageddon, I'm confused.
Dramageddon is the Tati Westbrook, James Charles drama.
Oh, sugar, the sugar bear head with the Coachella.
Oh, you did it at my birthday dinner.
Yeah, no, she feel like he was a kid.
But did he or did he not in the end?
I don't even know.
I just want him.
Because she said some very, very accusatory things, and then he was just like, actually no, and then there was a bit of that.
It was like a bit of a line against, like with Shane Dawson and Jeffree Star against her, and that was a mess.
Yeah, that was also a mess.
Oh yeah, because like Shane Dawson started doing like a documentary on it, and then like recording himself in front of the TV. You're a liar. Like right in front of like the TVs.
No, right before you came over, I was saying this about Shane Dawson. We were talking about it. I was like, do you think if Shane Dawson continued filming videos despite his cancellation, like he would still be more relevant today? No. If he just ignored it.
You said cancellation was very, very violent. It was violent.
Part of that though is I think he was just the wrong person to do it. Like I think the reason why he shifted to those documentary stuff was because he knew he was losing his touch in terms of like his personality, because his history was about being so like overly expressive, and to the point where it was like making jokes out of things that are now going to get him cancelled. Like he kind of had to restrain himself and tailor himself, so he's not allowed to have his personality anymore.
He also did another documentary on someone else. Tanaka,
That
Jake
was
Paul, and the wedding. The wedding.
Oh yeah.
The Tam and Jake. He did? Did he do something about that? I'm watching that later.
Tanner and Jane got married.
Yeah, do you not remember at all Jake Paul gets fucking married? The cloud. For cloud. Yeah, they had like a whole, it wasn't fake wedding.
Not even for like a green card. Like, damn.
Yeah, like literally just for funsies, they just got married.
What is your earliest memory of the internet, like internet culture wise?
The beginnings for me were Tumblr, probably. The beginning for me was YouTube. It was Bethany Moda. She's the reason why I have this stupid accent. Well, actually, I said stupid accent in a really British way, but actually, normally I sound like this. When I first came to the UK, I sound so American. This is years of masking. But she is the woman that gave me my stupid American accent. She was the reason why I watched all the DIY videos, all Lord DIY, Household Mary Ray, Art Sale Beauty. My life is Ava. My life is Ava. I was a fan of that.
No, but literally, my life is actually a book. Do you remember that, Taylor? Literally, my life is.
Yeah.
Did you see that thing recently where she came out and she was just like, she came out, Brandman. But did you see that thing recently where she came out and said like, oh yeah, during that time I was like doing crazy
Crack.
no, close. She was like a proper like dominatrix or something like that. And she was doing like swag or something on the side.
Playing that song while doing it.
Her morning shift is like running out in a Jeep.
Next thing.
See, because it's 7 p.m. Like, I knew those chokers were for nothing. I wouldn't get just by the collars she was doing on the side. Because, girl, I was buying those Claire's plastic chokers and all and this and that. We've seen this video of Stormy, Kylie Jenner's not baby, this kid, and she's like, and she's showing her like her King Kylie years where she got like the blue wig and like the stilettos, and she's walking out of like a car and like just like a red t-shirt, and she had those like wigs, right? And she shows like Stormy, and she's like, "Mommy, why would you wear that?
Why would you wear a blue wig with a red outfit?
Yeah, and that's like my kid saying that to her, and I looked at that video like in comparison, and I was like, you know what? This is something that CSM will be pulling up with tomorrow.
And they'd be like, oh, they aged.
She was a pioneer. She was a pioneer.
Yeah. Do you see that stuff kind of like coming around?
I don't know, because I feel like trend cycle goes so fast now. People really cherry pick which part of the previous eras are cool. Like wired headphones are cool now, like back in style again. But then I don't know, like those freaking disc. What it was, those American Apparel like hot pants, the one that are like basically the colored leggings. Oh yeah. So those aren't
Galaxy leggings.
Galaxy leggings. So like I feel like people pick and choose which part of those eras are cool. I feel like Logomania probably wouldn't.
I was gonna say it's always gonna be there because that is like the main consumer like outlet for big fashion brands. Like realistically, if you see like a runway from like Burberry or like Balenciaga, how many times are you gonna go out in the wild and see someone wearing that tailored dress? Never. Are you gonna see someone with a big Balenciaga shirt on? Yes.
Yeah.
And you know,
because I thought old money would be a big deterrent from the logos, because everyone's like, oh, rich people don't wear logos, so we're not gonna wear logos. I feel like fashion is always gonna come back in its very interesting ways. There's always ways to forecast it and stuff, but in terms of like cultural moments, I'm not sure.
like e-boy or that sort of stuff, because that was it's like when people started layering shirts. I was guilty of that. I was guilty.
Oh, I get what you mean. I get what you mean.
And having a chain. Ooh.
Honestly, what's the Troye Sivan and what's the other YouTuber's name? Conan Gray.
Yeah.
Conan Gray. That's weird seeing him transition from like a YouTuber just doing art stuff.
Yeah, and actual singer now apparently. Like, but he performed recently, actually in a really cool set. He wore a little sailor costume. He popped out of this ship. It was really cool.
I wanted to mention a thing that we said earlier about the whole old money aesthetic. Yeah. Because I don't know how, but in my head it does line up. I think I might talk about this in one of the other chapters in this video, but it does line up that the whole old money aesthetic, that whole thing of like actually like actual rich people, they don't like wearing logos, like the simplicity, It there's like I mean, it's all conservative, like
Quiet luxury.
quiet luxury. It's all
I
conservative.
genuinely hate that so much. Like the whole Sophia Richie, like everybody just want to follow her wedding. I'm just like, do you think they give it?
Please is at the club epidemic.
Of a siren.
I feel like, is this a recession indicator?
And color is though.
Yeah, that's what I was saying earlier. Like, I think color definitely is a recession indicator. Like, because there's like I think there's a literal scientific study saying that like our life is lacking color.
Yeah.
Like, it's like
And that's usually because people go back to like wearing all black or all this, and it's meant to be like a safe option because it's not being risky.
yeah.
But also like in terms of what I've been noticing in fashion more recently, like we've gone through this whole like beige and pastels sort of stuff, and now I feel like we need to go back to maximalist sort of vibe. So maybe that goes back to the whole kind of like hipster mustache, good thing.
Or even the King Kylie era with the bright teal hair, or the art hood aesthetic where all the colors are saturated. I feel like with things that like trend majorly, like bum bags, Stanley cups, those things like
Stanley Cup was wild.
I feel that's very American. Well, that's gonna water talk. We're not there yet. You're not there. I feel like with those things, like especially in fashion, like there's a reason why everybody's buying it because of a necessity point of view. So I don't think it's a like, oh, everybody's like blindly following trends.
That Kylie Jenner lip kit was not a necessity for my like 14-year-old lips.
I've noticed this recently where it's like, oh, you guys haven't been like hydrated enough, so they give you a satchel, and it's like, I've seen it on TikTok shop, and they're trying to sell you essentially supplements, being like, you need to hydrolyze your water. Girl, what do you think water is? Hydrogen, H2. Hey, what do you think? What's the H sample?
Pre-COVID to post-COVID, how has the internet landscape changed?
Everyone got a lot crazier. I think because people were inside for so long, they kind of were a lot like, what have I got to lose?
I think that's everyone's biggest regret is like, why wasn't I doing city or dances on TikTok?
Yeah, I feel like everybody was just like, oh, I could have been famous. I could have done that.
But that's an interesting thing. I feel like everybody thinks they can be famous, and for a long time I was just like, well, not everybody can be famous. These people, they do like sacrifice something, or they must have something to them. And the more I look at it now, the more I'm like, no, literally anybody can be famous. It's about exposure. It's not like visual exposure. If you're willing to expose yourself online, you can be famous. Like, it doesn't actually require that much, or it requires a sacrifice, and sacrifice is exposure. So you could be doing like stupid stuff and get made fun of it. As long as you can push through that, you can be famous. Enough people will come to you. You think of like, I don't know, this is like a recent one, but like Astronaut.
Yeah. No, all of the TikTok vibe.
Anybody? And
It's so last a different breed though, because you have
I'm scared of it now.
Who was the guy that used to? Oh, this old guy. That was Trisha Paytas that like begs for money on Jason Nash. Jason Nash, yeah, he's also like definitely just exposure.
oh, actually, everyone's an emergency intercom viewer here.
I will have to say this. I feel like them as content creators started out as them, like, I think, well, just being teenagers and about with so
Yeah. Like just being in like, Drew is from like middle America. Like he's from Texas, and like he's not, I don't know, he's not from Dallas or anything, So like in that, like his experience, like it was something for him to do because he's kind of bored. Same with Enya, they found community and stuff like that.
Yeah, I feel like because obviously they mucked about on social media, got famous for it, and could make money off of it, so that's why they probably stopped all of their like aspiration to, I don't know, go uni or do whatever career they want, and pivoted towards that. And because as kids, like, everything is new, everything is fun, so obviously that is content making machine. But the moment, like, I feel like the moment I got bored with them, and the moment they could start becoming like tone deaf to me, was I'm just like, you guys talk about your life once a week essentially, and all you talk about is like ordering takeout. When like Erewhon, or what was that? Drew like always had like some sort of like fast food chain that he was obsessed with. And yeah, Wingstop, there we go. Yeah, Wingstop. It was always Wingstop, and I feel like
Understood.
there's just like Wingstop. But I feel like that's kind of like they tend to not sit around and do anything, or
when they got really famous, all they did was travel. They always said that all had travel stories, this travel story.
There was in New York, we're doing some sort of brand deal.
Yeah, they can never talk about it. Exactly. So you're just like, so you can never talk about it, and you're never doing anything interesting either. They both, I think, stopped making their own content on YouTube.
Yeah.
Which is, I guess, like where you get the personality from. And I feel like because you just stopped everything in your tracks in teenagehood, and you just immediately go into presenting everything you have online and presenting it to be cool or funny online. I feel like that made them kind of like a blank canvas of a human being. Like they're funny, but they're quite bland.
But they've lost their charm.
Yeah, they lost their charm, like, because I feel like the people that I find actually still really interesting to see is Simply Nailogical, because she was a government worker from Canada. She started making nail videos online, and so she became really famous for it. But then she kept her job.
Rewrite was a cat.
You should the one with Smoshing Gang himself.
It was a clip for reset. Well, this way they went really downhill though. She's like the Ford animal. Will Smith was it was like, wait, are we in the night? Oh, yeah, literally. They got to like maybe 2018, 19, and then people started being like, "This is cringe. Like, please stop. Please stop."
Yeah. Oh, well, but my whole point was the reason why I bring her up is because she's obviously fully grown adult.
Yeah.
Had a full life. Her nail thing, her niche, is what made her famous, and she stuck to it, even though she also had still had a full time. Like, she had a like outside of it. And I feel like when you have like moral standing and like you know what your character is, I feel like that can like keep you going in like a video sample, because you're not dropping everything to please, like,
You in chat.
yeah, like, give me money, I'm gonna make more videos for you. They're kind of doing it for themselves because they have another source of income about it.
This is what I was
So
give.
same thing with Jeffree Star, actually. Sorry, just one more thing. Same thing with Jeffree Star. Even though he's so like everybody's canceling him, he still is like, he still has his own personality. That's how he do things. But that's still undeniable. Yeah, exactly. So I feel like with people like Enya and Drew, because of like they kind of do nothing. Like,
That's why I lost them, is just because I lost the relatability aspect of them. Because like, sure, like they are a couple years older than me now, and they try and be really serious, and like, sure, I thought it was really cool that they're getting invited to fashion shows in Paris and all this kind of stuff. But I just very shortly after that, I kind of just felt like, oh, you're in Europe every week, and you're never coming to London.
No, but it's the moment of for Americans going to Europe. That's the
They know exactly.
to Europe. It's for us to like booking a Ryanair story.
But then it's like Euro summer.
Us as watchers, it's like okay,
We're due to that. We're the world entirely.
Well, no, it would be if, like, I don't know, someone British was in LA every week, or
yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
I mean, it take that long to program. No. What I was going to say, what I think has maybe made them lose their charm. Like, in general, I was just going to show you how I originally found them, which was the Josh Ovell videos. And that would be like, it would be like literally once a month, and it would just be like a blooper reel.
Are they still roommates? I swear.
I think they are, but Josh is just like gone, disappeared into the void. But like, they were doing that once a month. It would be like an edited video that was entertaining, and it was only the best bits. And therefore, like, you're cutting out all these bits where it's like not a constant dialogue of like a weekly podcast where there's no editing. It's just rambling. So there wasn't anything new to say. But these things, they were like actively making, videos that were with a little bit more purpose or based off fun activities they've been doing. So that had more charm to it, and that felt more fun. Like, I remember seeing that being like, oh, LA looks really cool. They're just running around in the sun, taking the piss already. And then beyond that, they did like a really quick short TV program when it was Drew, Enya, and Josiah Field Day, I think it was. That they did like 3 episodes, and then COVID hit and they had to cancel that. To do with effect of 320 and how it's affected like people socially is to do with the fact that we went into lockdown, we kind of ripped from social circles and anchors and all sorts of stuff, to the point where I think people are more willing to ghost and not feel like they owe people anything. So people are very willing to like rip apart themselves or like not, socialize or communicate with people simply because we had that kind of space to completely like evacuate to, essentially.
yeah, I feel like I was talking to you earlier about how like in dating apps, like, because it was so easy to ghost people during like COVID, and was my first introduction to dating apps as well.
I think us, because we're like 2002, 2003, whatever. We all turned 18. In my case, I mean, that's born what 7 days apart. So especially us, we were like turned 18. Were we in lockdown or just after?
Just out of it.
Yeah. So it was really weird for us. I think it was for me because I've always looked very young. I never got to do the whole fake ID, crazy, go to I never got to do like what a lot of other people around me were doing, like living a lot more adult experiences at a younger age. So for me, like being thrust into adulthood in this time where everyone else is very crazy, they've not been in proper social interactions with people for a long time. It was weird. And then suddenly I was going on dating apps and like trying to talk to people, even though I'd only just been talking to my friends properly for the first time in like 2 months after being out of lockdown, and then immediately being like, okay, I'm gonna go on the dating apps, I'm gonna do all this stuff. Like it was very weird. I think.
But also, I feel like because you're hiding behind a screen for so long and you don't actually like see the consequences of your actions, I feel like dating is very different. Online etiquette is very different. People
Are very willing to just like ghost or drop her like one fat message and then leave her and then or never reply. Like people do not feel like they need to reply to anyone. I don't think anyone anything.
Basically, the way that I think that we're headed to right now, what we're talking about, things like Brad Summer, Donald Trump being reelected, and ChatGPT, I think we're headed to dark times, but they will be so much fun at the same time. Like, there's going to be a lot of highs and a lot of lows. Because, like, I get so scared when I see some AI things, and they really scare me, but then I have fucking tralala. And I think the one thing that our generation is that, like, and probably every generation in history is in their own way, but like we found the internet is our way of resilience, even though it does bring us so much like terrible things as well. But we always find a way to use it to enjoy ourselves.
What do you think about Gen Alpha? Like, what do you think for the future for that is?
And I am scared. No, because they like, at least for us, we still have like a lot of nostalgia associated with like early internet, which I think was a very different space to what the internet is now. It's so integrated into our lives. Like, still for us, I think there's a lot of nostalgia associated with the internet being such a new concept. And like we were learning the internet with everyone else around us. At least I think I would say that.
like we weren't born with a device in our hands already. Like we weren't born and then an iPad was thrusted to us at 3 years old. Like I think like when I was born, like the iPad was invented and slowly. It wasn't like a immediate.
For us, like I always think about that. So I remember seeing ads for YouTube on buses, and it had just, like, because that was 2007, so I would have been in 06, so I would have been about 4 or 5. But like there are kids like who've had their whole lives broadcasted on YouTube and they're probably 20 now.
Guys, who am I? Who am I right now? I bet you didn't know. JK, if you're watching this video, you probably know who I was. I am. By the way, every single costume in this video, I had just in my wardrobe. Sort of previous that. So, welcome to the final chapter. And the final chapter is 2024 to 2025, and it's called We Are So Back. And the caption for it is, in a way, and the thing is, you don't know what I'm talking about yet, but I'll clue you in. In a way, we have circled back, where the mainstream is so diluted that it allows for all to find a niche community of their own, not relating to the red-pilled stuff that I was previously talking about, by the way. I find safety and hope in that. However, I am terrified for the next generation who have been periodically exposed to a lot of those trends and capitalistic schemes in their childhoods, even pre-being 10 years old. The main points that I kind of was going to touch on in the last chapter, but I was like, let me lay it off for this one, this is very London specific. I will start with that. On a downward spiral, Dawson's upper stern used to be super stern, and Sock's house beating. So these are an array of Instagram meme accounts that make essentially what would be like a version of niche memes a few years back, more than a few, 5, if not 7, but about essentially the niches of London boroughs or the niches of the creative London world. The point I was going to make about them was that, or at least I think they should be the opener to this chapter, because in this landscape, in this evolving landscape that I've talked to you about for probably at least an hour, if not 3, we realized that so many things have happened. So many new things have happened.
Oh my god, I'm describing life. I'm describing time.
These are accounts that make sort of memes about people in the creative sphere within London. And usually those people live in the same boroughs or in the same neighborhoods or go to the same pubs or wear the same things. The way life goes, the way society goes. I have been brought into or have seen or have had or have been a part of most of the things on this diagram, sometimes indirectly. That's why I feel safe enough to talk about it, because it's on the whole a critique of myself. These accounts, they basically they critique exactly who their audience is. Like, this is, if anything, the quintessential point of memes. We critique ourselves and we make ourselves laughable. We make ourselves into jokes. Humor has always existed, and humor is based mostly upon us as the human race making fun of each other. We're really going to get deep into memes. These accounts, I wouldn't necessarily say they have created a new format. They haven't built the pyramids when it comes to creating some new meme format, but I use them as an example because I feel like every community across the world has these. I'm sure these things have always been out there. However, there have been so many other things that I wanted to talk about that I had to they had to be overshadowed. This was the first thing I wanted to mention just because it's a prime example of, actually, you know what, as who I am right now at 22 in London, there is something so nichely specific to me on the internet right now that it's great. And I get a little chuckle out of it. And that's exactly what memes were made for, back in the day. And that's what I find beautiful about it, that in a way we have done full circle, and that there's just so much information online that, if anything, in this rise of normalcy, people crave somebody to look at their community or look at their struggles very specifically. And that is what all of this progression through different platforms, different memes, times, etc., technology has allowed us to do. Anyway, Brat Summer. Brat Summer for me, personally, so fun. I graduated that year, so I had a banging time. I also traveled a lot, and it was just like last summer it was a movie. But what I found interesting about Brat Summer is that it sort of propelled this. We've done, in a weird way, a trend cycle where, remember my second chapter where I say that my nerdy interests get recontextualized? That has happened in Brat Summer. That's what I feel genuinely. I think it's because I was at art uni as well from 2021 till 2023. I saw how people dressed there and acted there. And when Brat Summer came out, it kind of like exploded those ideas into the mainstream. And suddenly everybody was buying, like, I don't know, those jaded London tops. I don't think it was revolutionary because of its substance. I think it was revolutionary because of its audience, which I think is actually a really interesting thing, like way to think about anything that we like as people nowadays, where actually the consumer, you and I, a lot of people's careers, businesses depend on us. Ugh, I'm making takes that are so obvious. Oh, any business needs a consumer. But anyway, Kamala Harris's campaign amidst Brat Summer, You think you just love out of the coconut tree? I feel like at the end of this video, it all started as fun and games, even when I was researching this, but now it's ended up in very deep political territory that I really don't want to be in. Oh my god, have you been on the White House Instagram? I went on it recently. Oh my god. Horrendous. Not horrendous, but just like terrifying. Memes about people being deported from a country. What where have we come to? Where have memes come to? This whole diagram was about this, and now it's just it's gone beyond that. It's gone beyond something fun and like little thing on the side, a joke that we tell between ourselves as friends. It has become an actual power within society, and that's scary. AI, we talked about that briefly. ChatGPT. Oh, the one thing I didn't mention is like the remember the ChatGPT, like when people would make songs. It's like if a cricket sang like Taylor Swift's like, I don't know, some song of Taylor Swift, like some song of Kanye West. That was funny, right? Diva, Yag, Mama, a girl behind you. Bop House. Bop House is fascinating. Fun challenge for you and your friends. Go on any of the Bop House members' Instagram accounts and see who follows them, who is your mutual, because that's really eye-opening. This is really brief, but Miss Whitman, bad baddie comeback. Happy for her. Sigma Boy. Oh my god. The Russian girl singing Sigma Boy directly tied to brain rot. Fascinating. I feel like there's a trans cycle there as well, because we moved back to children singing on TikTok, which is kind of like Maddie B. Raps and Rebecca Black. Maybe this is just a rite of passage. Reaction image meme revival. So the Wojak and the Muppet TikTok meme things, a lot of these things that I'm mentioning in this chapter are just going back to this. The actual images have remained, the captions have changed, but the images have remained. These are our stone wall carvings, guys. Can you imagine the guy that was sitting there on, like, I don't know, Microsoft Paint drawing that thing up? Saying, tralalelo trala, ballerina cappuccina. AI memes. We've got AI brain rot. The secret lives of Mormon wives. So this is a very fun little side point of a family vlogging that's now becoming like big. This I mentioned previously a little bit, but Brittany Bursky, same as Amber Chamberlain, influencer to celebrity pipeline. People that are ambitious, they can still break through that barrier. They can still go beyond. Hope isn't lost. You know, the people who deserve this platform that are not just given it and fed it for a continuous amount of time, they've been smart enough to utilize it. This is a fun one. And this is my last point for this category. And I guess the last point of the video that I've only recently kind of explored on a slightly deeper level, but looks maxing and black pilled content. Looks maxing is basically like, it's all about it kind of developed more in like the male stratosphere. So it was mostly like guys, not even guys, boys talking about it online, about their appearance. And it was about how you become just more attractive and how attractiveness leads to more opportunities in life. And so they hyper focus on appearance, on like the actual facial symmetry of your face, your body, etc. It's like this hyper awareness of this trend post 2020 of skincare, looking after yourself, looking after your body. It's now gone to the point where there's this great documentary, like 45 minutes on Channel 4 about Lux Maxes, where some of them actually like take a hammer to their nose and they like, or like their face, and they break, or they try to break some of their face to like regain, kind of like needle rolling for like who knows, but they try to like break some of their bits of their face in to like create a stronger face shape. Obviously, like the need surgery to elongate your height, all that stuff, that sort of hyper awareness to appearance, because appearance will lead to, I don't know, better opportunities in life. The first point I was going to make was that it is fascinating to watch teenage boys have similar but different hyper awareness of their appearance in their teenage, like adolescent years, the way girls have had for decades. Terrifying because actually a lot of it is like, oh, if you don't look like this, she won't like you. So it still has an influence. It's still influenced by the female opinion, which kind of still puts I don't know, the positive or negative results of their looks maxing on women. And so if women don't like it, girls don't like it, they're going to be like, oh, well, you're bitches anyway, which I think is really scary amongst like young boys. So it still kind of like leaves the responsibility of whether it worked or didn't on women, and hence their self-worth and their opinion of women is, you know, it's based on whether their decisions on looks maxing paid off to attract those women. It's a tricky one. It's difficult and it's scary. And then the second thing is that, what does this mean for greater society? If we have a generation of guys growing up, or not just guys, girls too, but girls different, because women have always been very conscious of what we look like. What we look like is currency in the world. And I think that stays with girls. Of course, it's not currency in the world, but it's it it's unspoken. Your mothers will talk to you about it. Your fathers will talk to you about it. You're raised in a culture of how you look, how you present yourself. It really depends. And with women, it's on a deeper scale. How big are your boobs? How big is your butt? Da, 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 how tall you are? How short you are? Da, da, da. It's always been hyperanalyzed. But this is the first time I'm seeing it done with men and specifically teenage boys and adolescents, where they actually bully each other same way in a way where women, as women do, into looking a certain way. For women, it's always for the sake of men. In this circumstance, it's actually for the sake of attention, validation of other guys. And I think on the long term, what does that say within men and women and our boys and girls in our society on the long term? Most of this diagram, especially, I don't know, I think throughout actually, it's been very, I've had a makeup to politics comparison throughout. And so we've talked about this throughout, about how looks have changed, how styles have changed, how what we wear and what's considered attractive or what's considered unattractive, maybe not into those details. If we are so fixated on ourselves, maybe it's a consequence of what's happening around us in the world, or maybe the fact that we're so hyper fixated on ourselves, that is the consequences of what is happening around us in the world, because we're too busy focusing about ourselves than to focus on the place we live, the planet we're on. Welcome. I haven't touched this mic or my computer or this diagram apart from this frame in about 6 months. I finished filming the majority of this video in August, and now it's February, and it's getting a bit fucking embarrassing. Anyway, I haven't touched the majority of this diagram since August, and now it's February of 2026, and this finishes at 2025, so I've screwed up. But here's my outfit. This chapter is basically about catching up on everything that I missed while I was editing and filming this video in the last 6 months. The reason I look like this is because I feel like it. But you know what? Maybe me in a few years is going to watch this back and think, what is she wearing? So that's it, isn't it? That's the thing. That's the point of this entire thing. But ironically, I was listening to Marie Lynn Diamonds and Lana Del Rey and Lorde as I was getting ready. So we're back for a very brief chapter on post diagram updates, because so many things have happened, I can't add them right now. It's printed out. Maybe there's a way I can digitalize this, and not only I can add things, but you can also add things to it, and then it could grow. But I haven't figured out how to do that just yet. This chapter doesn't have a name. I guess it's untitled. General preface of the chapter is things have gotten more political and more dry. Maybe I'm getting older. But I think in general, this is the final bit of nonsense I'm willing to add before this project comes to a close. 6-7, chopped, all this lingo that's coming out of Gen Alpha predominantly. It's fun. 6-7 is interesting though, because there's now a generation of adults with children. By adults, I mean sort of millennials with children, and they are watching how internet shapes their own kids, which I think is quite fascinating for them. Charlie Kirk and everything that happened around that, the We Are Charlie Kirk song, the border control phone checking for that one meme of Vice President Vance, Taylor Swift and her ever-growing power. I think it's funny because maybe we have come back full circle. Fandoms such as Taylor Swift's are bigger than ever. It has become kind of chogy? I don't know how people pronounce that word. To be a fan of Taylor Swift because of the ridiculously profit-based media that she produces. Some can argue pop songs have always been about easy monetization. What's popular, but her releasing something like 24 different albums alongside the most recent album, it's pretty showing. She can milk her fandom. I don't think any artist in history has done before, where they've gone 10 years, 20 years back to their work and sort of revitalized it and made a whole new generation of 13-year-old girls know about their first ever album that she wrote when she was 17, when she was a teenager. I think she has done tremendously as a businesswoman, but I think for her fandom, it's getting out of hand. She released like 24, in the 20s at least, different variations of her latest album with footnotes, with remixes, with this, with that. I wonder how many of those are on vinyl. I wonder how many of those are on CDs, because she knows she has built such a tight fandom around herself that people will buy. And they do. It's like a game for them. I think this is the epitome of the fan to idol comparison. I never really delved into K-pop in this video because I know very little about it. However, I bet if I was, I don't know, maybe 12 in 2018, 2019, I totally would have known a lot about it. Blackpink in your area? Like, I bet I would have known a lot. With her releasing so many albums, and honestly, even a lot of her, let's say, younger fan base being somewhat aware of consumption, I have a feeling that a lot of people that were her fans, that maybe are a bit older, who have been her fans maybe since they were 16 or younger, you're looking at it with a clearer, more adult head, and you're like, yeah, you're just trying to make a buck out of everything. Moving forward, Taylor Swift engagement. In my personal mind, just a thought, really plays into the conservative values rising in the West right now, and the girls that are getting married young. I mean, Taylor Swift isn't that young anymore, but weirdly in line with what's going on. I bet there's an 18-year-old girl idolizing this, marrying their high school sweetheart as we speak. Yeah, it's I'm just saying it. I'm just saying it. I'm not hating on Taylor Swift. I hope she's very, very happy. I'm so glad that she's engaged. I mean, how many love songs has she written? However, she's a very smart woman. And because of that, I don't know if I fully trust her. Not because she's a woman, just because she's really smart. as a pop idol. Alleged Charlie XCX Taylor Swift beef in a song. There was a song that came out. Allegedly, like, Taylor Swift was beating Charlie XCX because it's about summer. Nobody moved. Apple Martin being the face of self-portrait and allegedly a bully. Didn't we expect that though? I mean, she's the kid of Gwyneth Paltrow, the infamous "you ruined a day of skiing for me." Maybe I am definitely a consumer, because I actually like can't sit in my bed right now and on being like, Gwyneth Paltrow was bully, like Apple Martin's a bully, like they're just mean, and they made their money. I mean, Apple Martin didn't, but Gwyneth Paltrow made her money. Like, this whole ski incident cracks me up. I think it's hilarious. But speaking of that, a lot of culture is like that right now in terms of fans to artists to creators to actors, where a person can actually be bad or do unorthodox things, yet people still defend them, and if anything, defend them or rewrite their narrative from a human perspective and be like, yeah, I totally see why they were coming from that queen. The White House deportation memes. The White House deportation memes mentioned in the previous episode, but still just crazy. The Melania documentary, crazy. TikTok and Instagram, I think, but I'm not completely sure, letting you use reaction images in comments. I previously mentioned this, where people in the comment sections of videos are actually more of entertainment sometimes than the videos themselves. And I feel like that's having such an impact that platforms such as TikTok have allowed basically reaction imagery back onto it, which I guess is a revival of old school just image memes. I say old school as if it's an old school. It's not. I think video became over image around in the middle of this diagram in 2020. So realistically, it's 5 years old, whereas the difference between here and there is about 10. So previously mentioned, but reactionary comments are actually outdoing organic memes. We're more interested in other sheep than the shepherds, on paper. Actually, quite a liberal thing. Libibus, you've heard it. I don't know if I mentioned it, it's definitely on the diagram, but Libibus, an item to have. Just a thing. Just another thing. I wonder what the next thing is going to be that everybody wants to have that's kind of useless. Sydney Sweeney G-Nerd, the backlash of the backlash. I don't think I have to explain. Sydney Sweeney, from Euphoria, she was consistently, or at least her team was playing on her physical physique and how people are reacting to it online ever since Euphoria. So, blonde girl, fixes cars, big boobs, the usual, previously mentioned. Then this year, by the end of last year, 2025, we got this Gene ad that she did with American Eagle that caused a lot of fuss, apparently, about being about eugenics, this, that, the conservative sort of right-wing America really had its heyday with it, and we're like, oh my god, traditional beauty is coming back, like oh, the liberals are so upset about this. Apparently, the liberals weren't that upset about it because personally, my feed pages are targeted to be liberal. And also, I saw somewhere online that there actually wasn't that much backlash about it from not even liberal, just people in general. However, it was more about like the posts that were essentially like backlash posts that were calling out the ad had very little engagement. It was quite minimal, really, on the grand scale of things, as grand as things get now, because you will have a dog video have 25 million views for just overnight. So, the scale of what is quote unquote viral has changed. The numbers are bigger. The ad goes quote unquote viral, and apparently Fox News mentioned it like 80 times or something over the course of like 4 days about this liberal backlash against Sydney Sweeney's ad. And also, the realest of them all would know that American Eagle took inspiration from Brooke Shields' Calvin Klein ad back in the day. That was wildly controversial because she was like 16 and talking about genetics and doing, slightly sexual, not sexual, I don't want to say that, but exposing poses in jeans, sort of like inviting the viewer, that kind of thing. I'm going to put it up on the screen. You'll know what I'm talking about. When I saw this ad, I was just like, well, this is a clear reference to this. I always thought I was paying homage to that. So when all this stuff came out about politics, I was like, wow, okay. Some of you don't keep up with advertising or Calvin Klein. Lame. What are you, not a creative? Jaden Smith as the director of Louboutin. Right. It's everything I previously said about Nepo babies. If anything, I'm glad that he was thrown to the fire first. Not because of anything specific to him. So sorry, Jaden Smith, if you regret this like a few years down the line. I don't know. Go use a sewing machine, or if you do know how to use a sewing machine, I don't know, go do a degree in it, at least. Euphoria Season 3 trailer. That's gonna be coming up soon. Sydney Sweeney's basically playing herself, or at least whatever her agents tell her to play. I've heard rumors that it was her idea. We'll see. Wuthering Heights with Margot Robbie and Jacob Elordi. Most adults will say it's a blatant butchering of classics. I say it's a reigniting tween Wattpad culture. We need tween culture again, but maybe not by dumbing down adult culture, but then again, because of a lack of tween culture, tweens are more interested in adult things. It's a back and forth. So I've seen better reviews of Wuthering Heights of people basically on the fact that like they took a, classic and they kind of like butchered it and made it sobby and tweeny and got, Jacob Elordi to star in it. I see it as a positive. I don't mind that. I know the people who are really into that literature are going to come for me and be like, you crazy person, you crazy uneducated person. Why would you say that? I say it in the terms of social media. Skeleton bang shield meme. Love that. Honestly, I just love any like sort of GIF meme that's coming around right now. There's a bunch. There's like the dog with the hat and the lollipop, the shield meme, the guy from Dexter meme. Like, these aren't like memes inherently, but they're coming back around. Like, reaction imagery is coming back around in a way. It doesn't have a space again just yet, the way we did in like 2017 Instagram with like Office Fist, but I feel like it will. And it might be through the comments, and I'm really excited for that. Oh, the tongue out of the rainbow guy with the tongue sticking out, and the girl with the headphones does like butterflies. Like, I like it. I like it. It's fun. I like seeing it. Mama, wызывай taxi. The Epstein files. Yeah. Just a lot. It's a lot. Hopefully the people who were affected by it will get justice, but looking at the people that were involved, when will we get that justice? I don't know. Most media is rage bait. Even news articles will post an ad on Meta saying something along the lines of, find out how rich you are at your age, or like in your first job, like how rich you will be. And then you'll look and it's the Telegraph or like the New York Times. I love how resilient they are, or like how adaptive they've become to the culture, because people aren't reading the news. They're looking at social media. And if this is a way of getting people to read the news, or at least their news outlet, but it's funny that this is how far down the line on social media things have gotten, that the Telegraph has to advertise by creating a rage baity post. AI could never replace this memes. Melania documentary, the Slavic steppe, mob wife aesthetic. As usual, the West looks to the East and romanticizes it. The Melania doc is just pure propaganda, but I love that her team proposed it, and I bet she never gave a fuck about it. I heard something recently that actually somebody in this process paid her to do it, which now I'm like, well, who paid her? The production company? I thought it was like part of American propaganda, but I love that. I love that she got paid out of it. If she did, I good on her, man. Apparently, it's just a friend of mine went to watch it in the cinema, mind you, for journalistic purposes. He said that it was just mostly her trying on outfits. Clavicular mogging. Looks maxing is an epidemic. This guy who's like 19, school uni dropout, apparently takes meth and throws the N-word around and only cares about his appearance, he says. The epitome of current culture, rage bait, and looks focused. Terrifying for a generation of boys. However, Clavicular makes such a display of himself. I believe this might be an equivalent to the 67 gendered, blue-haired liberals, blah, 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 stereotype emerging on the right pipeline, where a certain cultural, socio-political figure becomes so ridiculous to the common person that young people, especially teens, don't want to associate themselves with them, even if they agree or believe in some of the same things. Like, I don't know, wanting to look good, wanting to go to the gym, looking after your body. However, allegedly, Clavicular has said that he is ready to align himself with any political party if he's paid enough, which, funnily enough, is pretty meta and potentially signaling to the youth that a lot of politics is funding. Yeah, it's a funny time to live in, really. Also, I just don't think Clavicular is that attractive. I think we're gonna grow out of this really soon because it's getting too much. I mentioned Looks Maxing 6 months ago, and I see news sources doing articles on Looks Maxing. I think it's more a question of privacy, actually. Like, when are we going to become private about the things we enjoy? Or do we always have to share? Heated rivalry! The Wattpadification of culture again. Definitely a full circle, and in time for the Milan Winter Olympics 2026. I really enjoyed that. I haven't finished watching it, but I just do enjoy when silly pieces like this is like Wattpad times 1,000 because there's a serious production team behind it and they're actually filming it and they're all hot and like it works. Maybe tween culture is coming back. Maybe tweens are going to get tired of Clavicular and like all of this serious sort of rhetoric about politics and appearance and whatever. Maybe tweens are going to just want to tween out again. I want to tween out again. Not in a creepy way. I feel like people of all ages are tweening out to heated rivalry right now. People yearn for fun. People yearn for something easy to be happy about. I guess the last sort of like meme format, and this is what I mean that memes have really surpassed everything. I am, in a way, not even on this diagram anymore. I am somewhere 3 subsections away if this diagram were expanded beyond this frame. And that's kind of scary. Like, no one's in the same place on the internet anymore. I am so far somewhere where I get memes where it's like baby YouTube thumbnails where people pretend that babies are making videos and it's like the YouTube thumbnails about like baby stuff. I think that's hilarious. Just like, why would anybody make that? Why did anybody come up with that and then made so many? Like, I love that. It's purely creative. It's purely humorous entertainment. Some might say, probably I might say if I was making this video in 5 years' time, that it was a direct reflection on like the family vlogging and the monetization of children on the internet. But for now, it's just funny. To wrap up this video, it's taking me a year to make. It wasn't very informative. I've edited most of this. It's not very informative. I'm sorry. It's just me ranting about stuff and talking about stuff and reminding, I guess, people of stuff and reminding you of what's happened. I hope it was entertaining. I've tried to include as many pictures and references of things as I could. I really hope you stopped the video because I clearly did not time it well enough for you to read everything that was on screen while I was talking about it. Sorry, first serious YouTube video like this. If anybody that will ever hire me for any job has any doubt that I don't know what's going on online, oh, I do. Thank you for watching. Thanks for sticking around. It's long. I will make this viable if you want to buy it. Probably the longest thing I've ever worked on. One last look at my outfit. Thank you and good night.